Hey, hey, hey! We are live again with another Ranty's Flat Earth Chit Chat show. Nice to see everybody in. We've got 27 people watching already, which is absolutely awesome. Mind of God, nice to see you in. If you want to join the panel, let me know. We already have Trish here waiting. We've got Flat Earth Perspective in, Mason B, nice to see you in. Emma UK and Flat Earth Island. Nice to see you, and I think I'll give you a wrench actually. You're always here and you seem like a decent fella, so there we go. Sailing Catamaran Waheen, I know you're alt, so nice to see you in as well. Anthony Burrows, you deserve a wrench as well, so I'm going to moderate you too. Mike Dornan, nice to see you in, and Storm Williams, again, another regular, so yeah, I think we'll wrench you up too. So Paige, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. G'day, Ranty. Hello, everybody.
Nice to see you. So the Mind of God is down to join. Let's bring him in. So let me just add him to this call. Just 1 second whilst I bring the Mind of God in.
You called me Trish again.
Oh my God! Do you know something? Do you know why I've done that? Do you know why? I don't even know why. It could be that, but it's also because ultimately I've had too many beers this evening. Yeah, I've had too many beers. This is my fourth Corona, and it's not the small ones either. It's the big ones. So it is
Holy crap!
I know.
I'd be under the table. I'd just be a spastic mess after 4.
Do you know, today though, I mean, the whole weekend has been crazy for me. The whole weekend has been absolutely insane. I've been trying to get food, literally, for my mum and my dad, my sister, my ex-partner, and my son, right? My daughter, you know, at the minute, she's abroad. She's in Turkey, so... she's with a fella over there, so it's not like I can get food in for her. But with my son and my ex, so I spent all day today, for instance, going around trying to find food for them, and I've been into at least, I'd say, a dozen shops, right, trying to find food, meats that you can freeze, tinned soups, rice, anything, because I told them weeks ago to prepare, and of course
we told them months ago, Randy,
and of course they didn't right, so I've gone out and I've been out all day. I swear, honestly, I was supposed to go to work today. I didn't end up doing that, and I'll tell you for why, because I went shopping yesterday afternoon and I saw how stripped the stores were, and I just knew that if I didn't get out this morning and try and find... I got to Aldi this morning. There was 2... I was the first in the queue. I went straight to the pasta aisle. They had 2 pouches of pasta there. That's all they had for the opening of the store. All right, so that was it. 2 pouches of pasta, and I'm like, where's all the food?
Yeah, where's the stock?
So, of course, so as I say, I've been shopping for my mum, my dad, my sister. I've been shopping for my son and my ex. And I've just had it. I've just been constantly for the past 3 days shopping. And I'm like, I was just tonight. Do you know something? I'm having a few beers tonight. I'm actually treating myself. So I had a few beers.
Forget about it for the night.
It's my birthday week. It's my birthday week as well, so it's all good.
Oh, happy birthday.
So we'll probably be in lockdown by the time my birthday comes around, even though I'm supposed to be going out with some friends at the weekend, but we'll see whether that actually transpires. But
my son was supposed to go on their Year 7 camp yesterday, and that was cancelled.
Wow.
They're still allowed to go to school, but there was no camp. And we live out in the middle of nowhere. I'm literally halfway between Melbourne and Sydney. You don't get any more bush than where I am.
And I mean, what's the food sort? I mean, Mind of God. I mean, you're joined.
My partner went down the shops all weekend. He went like 3 times on Saturday, and then he went 3 times yesterday because they kept saying, "Yeah, the truck's coming." And they had toilet paper in last night, and he was allowed to get 1 pack. They were saying one thing each. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Branchy, man, I'm reporting live from Houston, Texas, and I live downtown, and it's very quiet because people are working from home. So it's kind of eerie a little bit, but the food situation is not so bad for me because the restaurants are still open. But
that's good.
I use Instacart, which is like a delivery service, and they put warnings up, that you can still order, but don't expect everything to be fulfilled. So
Woolworths here has suspended all internet orders and deliveries, all click
wow,
and collect, and all delivery orders from the supermarket.
right,
And they're even opening an hour early for disabled and elderly to come in. If you've got the right kind of concession card, you can come in an hour early,
oh,
because
that's good.
people were stealing toilet rolls out of blind people's trolleys while they were
What?
waiting in line. Yeah,
Paige, those are
stealing their.
ball earthers, right? They're
It
ball.
must be.
That's
They're
that's
panicking.
Right.
that's
Okay.
insane.
Wow,
Isn't
that's
it?
sad.
Stealing toilet rolls out of a blind person's shopping cart. My goodness.
Why are people obsessed about toilet paper? Isn't there? I don't understand the
Yeah,
obsession.
I don't get it.
Do you
The
know
Are there
only
any
thing I
other
can see
necessities?
is that toilet paper and coronavirus have the same gematria.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
that's the only thing I found that correlates the two. Yeah, it
Wow.
just happens to have the same gematria. So
Wow.
who knows?
But yeah, I mean, just people stealing toilet rolls. Or the toilet roll, it's like I saw a report about 8 weeks ago that in South Korea, they had they'd had burglaries for toilet rolls. So they were raiding shops for toilet rolls. So they were leaving the cigarettes, they were leaving the alcohol, they were leaving whatever else behind. They were stealing toilet rolls, right? They were stealing toilet rolls, and I thought, why would they be
Wow.
doing that? So when I put some images up on my Facebook, sorry, not Facebook, but on my community posts, and I'm showing images of what I've actually been getting, and I showed a bunch of toilet rolls that I had to one side. I had a lot of people saying to me, "What? How many times are you going to wipe your arse, Ranty?" All this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, well, if they stole it, well, if they were willing to steal it in South Korea because of shortages, maybe it'd be wise to just buy some of these in. So when I was trying to say to people, look, you need to start stocking up with like the rice, the pasta, the tins of stuff, and etc. etc. all that kind of stuff, and the toilet rolls. Literally 4 weeks later, this is when the shit starts to hit the fan. Pardon the
What
pun.
annoys me is if people had have been doing it the way we suggested 2 months ago, to just get a couple of extra things each
Right.
time you went to, there wouldn't be this mass panic and all these things being run off the shelves because everyone's trying to prepare at the same time.
Right.
Like if they had just fucking listened and done it 2 months ago,
Yeah.
I just feel like going, reaching through the computer and going whack, whack, whack. What the fuck, you idiots?
It made perfect sense because the stuff that's recommended is stuff that doesn't go bad, so it's not like you lose. It's
exactly.
Just,
that's what we were trying to say. Yeah,
I
worse
agree.
off.
I agree with that. That made a lot of sense.
I checked the date on this stuff, and most of it is like 18 months down the line. And even the food that I was picking up, the tins and stuff, you've got anywhere from a 9-month to around about a 14-month expiry date on tin stuff as well. So I was even saying, I said, look, if nothing happens and the worst doesn't happen and we don't end up in some kind of quarantine or lockdown or food shortages or whatever, I can give all this away to the down to the Salvation Army. Yeah, to the Salvation Army down the road, and I can help support them for a couple of days, to actually give food to the homeless. It's not a problem, because I've prepared for something that hasn't panned out. Okay, not a problem. But if I plan for something and the shit does hit the fan, right? Okay, well, I'm prepared, and I'm glad I did it. I actually ran. This is really weird. Did you see the poll that I did a few days ago?
Yes, I looked at the results too. Yep.
Wow, can you believe those results? I'm going to bring them up because
I'm stunned.
Do you believe that what would you say, the mind of God here? So I'm going to ask you a question, right? So do you think that whatever's going down is real or a hoax?
I'm open to both now, actually, in the sense that what I'm worried about, and I just thought of this literally today, I'm being totally honest, is that you know how they're going in for tests and stuff? I worry now that people are going into tests and getting the virus. So that's obviously the conspiracy person inside of me. So I'm open to the fact that it's physical, but I don't think anyone would argue at this point it's made an impression. You know, it's real in the sense that we have to prepare for limited resources. So, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, actually, because ultimately that's all I've been trying to promote is that, you know, you need to prepare. I mean, how many times have I said this? You know, buy food in, buy water, you know, get some medication in, prepare for this, prepare to be locked down. I mean, this is going to happen. And
yeah.
People called me...
I'm not trying to suck up to you, but you were right on this for sure. Like, that's just you were correct on this. Like, but if you were wrong, I would have made fun of you, Randy. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, hey, listen, I hold that entirely because, listen, 2 years ago when I first started talking about things like the inferior mirage, I mean, no flat earther wanted to discuss that because, you know, it was all Earth curve, it was Earth curve, it was Earth curve. And of course now we've won that argument, you know, we've taken that away from them. So I feel like I was ostracized for the longest time over something like that, so I'm used to that kind of thing. So sticking my neck out on this was just another line of something that I'm used to doing, but the results that I had were just incredible. I mean, I ran this vote, so 330 votes we've had, so we've had a result back from quite a few people actually, and essentially this is the question. So, opinion on the coronavirus outbreak. 6 weeks ago I started to ask people to prepare. Back then 90% of my audience thought this was a hoax or a drill. What is your opinion now? So, and I based that 90% of my audience because 90% of the comments in the chat were from people saying, "You're a fucking lunatic, Ranty, what are you talking about? Don't go on about this stuff." And I was getting shit from people that I respect, you know, I mean, from all works of life, you know, 90% had to have been a very accurate, in my opinion, breakdown of what I thought that people thought that I was insane for even talking about this.
Yeah, for sure.
But the results, there was 5 questions. I wish there was 6. I wish I had the option to do a 6, but it only allows you to do 5, so I had to be careful with what I put. So the first one was, always knew it was real, and I'm still sure it's real. So they always knew it was a real virus, and it's still a real virus, 30%. Now, I do want to do another poll. I actually want to find out whether or not those that actually answered this question are globe earthers or flat earthers. That would be a really interesting question.
Yes,
it would be very interesting.
I have a feeling that would be quite high for globe earthers. Always knew it was real and still sure it's real. But the next one was always knew it was a hoax or a drill, and I'm still sure it's a drill or a hoax. And of course, that was 50%. So half of the audience, half of the results said that they think it's a drill or a hoax, and they're still sure it's a drill or a hoax.
Ranty, can I make a suggestion?
Mainly flat earthers.
Of course, yeah.
Sorry, Ranty, can I make a suggestion on the wording that I think will help clarify, because my answer was one of the 50, but I don't take back what I just said a couple seconds ago because the wording can influence what somebody says. I think what you may want to say is it physical or not? And then something like that, because I would probably answer that a couple days ago as hell no, but I'm open to it, you know, that it could be physical.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping for are there people dying but it's not a virus, you know, something along that line. There wasn't. Yeah, there was nothing. So
well, the next question was the one that I thought would have the biggest swing. I genuinely 100% when I made this poll, I thought 100% that this would have the biggest percentage. And I was so shocked at the results. I literally fell off. In fact, I was going to do a couple of live streams, and after seeing these results, I thought, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, you were really down about it.
I was honestly, I thought, what's the fucking point? The question, this one was, originally thought it was a hoax or a drill, right? But now that you feel that it's real, now that you feel that the shit's hitting the fan, now you know. And I thought this would be maybe, I don't know, let's say 30% or 35% or something like that. But it came back as 1%. 1% changed the mind.
To be fair though, bro, dude, we're so scarred from flat Earth, man. I'm somebody who pushes the Bible. I don't even know what to think. I'm being totally honest. Like, all narratives everywhere, and to some extent, even in my own life, don't make sense. So just take this with a grain of salt. You know, like don't take it too personal, because we're all like still ringing from.
Yeah, it's a big blow. It's a big blow to find out how big the lie actually gets.
Correct.
and how much of your life is controlled and contrived. It's life altering. It's mind altering.
Yeah.
I
You did the right thing though, man. You didn't try and make money off it. You didn't say pay me and I'll, all that kind of stuff. So I didn't see any conflict of interest. There's a lot of people right now who I agree, I don't think their heart's in the right place, and they are creating a disproportionate amount of panic that benefits them, but then creates all this instability in stores and So
yeah.
Hey, I've only tried to report it as I saw it. I mean, like I say, I've done a lot of research into this. I wasn't talking about this on the back of just some whim. I was looking at a lot of stuff that would make people's stomach churn, on
Right.
Twitter and stuff. And to be honest, Twitter have cleared that up now. I mean, it seems like they've wiped it of all the original videos. I mean, if you try and search videos for Iran or Italy right now, they've got there's like a massive blackout of information from those countries. But originally, when this first came out, you went and you searched for China, Wuhan, in Italy and stuff. In Twitter, and you was able to adjust the parameters for within the past 24 hours and stuff. You was actually finding videos on there that were quite compelling. Which when I was talking about this, I said, this is what we're seeing here is something completely different. And I actually made many references to this is different to the other things that have passed in the past. Things like the Ebola and the SARS virus and things that, like even the measles last year, all that kind of hyped up stuff that they were talking about. And I was saying, this feels different. There's something about this. It's real. I can see it's real, and I know that this is. And I felt helpless trying to say to people, "Look, please, just go out and just
please listen.
Just go and buy some extra food. Put some extra tins in your trolley. It's not going to hurt you too much. Just put a couple of extra tins in your trolley if you need to. Just get something." And anyway, I want to go.
Ranty, can I make a suggestion? For those toilet paper. People are worried about toilet paper scarcity. I just got Rumpus's PDF, printed it out at my UPS.
Oh, good idea.
I'm going to use that. I think it's about 100 and some pages of just garbage, so I'll just use that as toilet paper. I just put that out there as a suggestion.
Have you guys seen that they've given the first vaccine? They did it on 3/16. What's 3:16, John 3:16 in the Bible.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for God so loved the world. My goodness. And they've now gone into Wikipedia, and if you go and watch, Whiteboard Gematria has just put out a real quick little video, just like 10-15 minutes or something, showing that his video on the movie Contagion and all the connections and shit, they've actually gone in and adjusted the Wikipedia page because of all the searches on it and the information it had.
Wow. I watched that video. I actually watched that for the first time about 3 or 4 days ago, because somebody said, some professor or something said, if they had watched this video, Contagion, they would have been better prepared to tackle the
the thing they put on it, they've got like the big name Contagion, and then above it they've got nothing spreads like fear. Like that's how they're promoting the movie. Nothing spreads like fear.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, there is quite a lot of fear. I mean, I was asked, well, not asked, but requested to join group. When you sort of like, you're on Facebook and your friends want you to join a group. So I had like 3 or 4 requests from people to join this group, and it's like Coronavirus Blackpool or something. And I'm like, okay, so I woke up this morning, 1 request, 2 requests, 3 requests, 4 requests, join this group. I'm like, okay, so, and there's like thousands of people on there already. So this group has popped up from nothing. Yeah, and it's popped up from nothing. And of course there's like posts all the time, people are really, really, really talking about this a lot. It's even just on my friends feed, it's just all coronavirus. That's all they're talking about. Very rare that you find just an average post. Can I just finish this? The questionnaire. So let me go on to the questionnaire. Question 4: So originally thought it was real, right? So they originally thought it was real, but now that they feel that it's a hoax or a drill, 5% change. So they originally thought it was. So they originally thought it was real. Now they think it's a hoax, even though the world literally seems to be
shut down,
collapsing around you.
How can you go backwards after you see everything that's happened? But that doesn't make that made no sense to me. I was thinking, what are people just pulling your leg and choosing that for a stooge? Like, and I can't believe anyone would actually think that.
I picked the second one, and I would still stick with that, but I think it's also just mentally scary for me, and I believe in a lot of conspiracy theories that it's physical. It's like, that's just crazy. Like, it's even scary to think that. Obviously, I don't think that there's a limited evil in the world, but it's like, damn, like somebody made it, or where did this come from, kind of thing.
It could be that somebody made it, for sure. I mean, President Trump said something. I'll get to that in a second. Let me just finish this.
Okay. Yeah, what was the last one?
The last one is something that I'm actually quite proud of, actually, I have to say. So it says, still undecided, but have prepped in case. And that was 14%. Right. And that was 14%. So, hand on heart, I see that as like 14% didn't know. They were umming and ahhing. Is it real? Isn't it real? But they may have listened to the arguments put forth from what I've been. And that's 14% of the people that have watched my videos have gone out and prepared just in case. And you know what?
Yeah, even if it
isn't 14%, let's say it's just 1% of the people that have listened and gone out and actually prepared. Quite honestly, I feel that I've done a great service to them, because now they try and go out and find food, and it's so scarce. And do you know something?
Yep.
Back in 1980, 1920, 1940, whatever, you go back those years, people used to be able to supply their own food. They grew food. They grew tomatoes, potatoes. Here in the UK, we don't do that very. It's all industrialized. That art of being able to self-sufficiently look after yourself is long lost. We've been made to literally think that we just go to the supermarket and get our food. Well, what happens when that runs out? What happens when we don't get that? We don't have the means or the capabilities to just go out and just pick it off and look after ourselves, be self-sufficient. Those supply lines have been decimated. Countries locking themselves off from other countries. Boats, shipping industry just annihilated, basically. Yeah. There's no incoming and outgoing of trade. All of this supply line in the UK, where we get our food from abroad, this 50-60% of the food that we get from abroad, it's no longer coming in. We've got a finite supply. What happens when that runs out? We've got to feed 70 million people.
What they need, they don't bring in extra. Like you said, there was only 2 packets of pasta on the shelf. It's not like they've got stores and stores of food in the back that they just aren't, putting out. They only get delivered from overseas what they need for that week or whatever. They don't have months worth.
Oh, I've had a super chat from Godzilla 37. I'll be down the memory hole like SARS, bird flu, swine flu, mad cow flu, Ebola. Need to go on. More people die from texting and driving.
They promoted them as bad. They promoted them as it's going to kill us all. They've promoted this as, don't worry, it's nothing. That's where I'm going. Hang on a minute. I don't believe anything mainstream tells me. So if you tell me it's not a problem, it's a fucking problem.
And Ranty, that's a point that just don't take anything personal with what you're trying to share, because, again, people, maybe not us, because we come on these panels and know you a little bit more. Most of us just assume anybody broadcasting a message is just full of shit. Yeah, so.
Have you seen the coronavirus challenge?
I haven't.
Yes, I heard about that. Yes.
Licking toilet seats.
Yeah.
That's really? Sick, dude. There's no way. No way. That's just what?
Yeah, I saw it on RT.
Millennials are going around licking toilet seats. I have never wanted a virus to be real so much as I want it to be real now for those people. Like, there are people in this world we need to get rid of.
Here we go.
All ball earthers, every single one of them.
Right, so I make a challenge now to Sleeping Warrior, Tony Riley. I make a challenge to him for the coronavirus challenge to go to Blackpool Victoria Hospital and lick the toilet seat in the A&E department.
Oh
There we
my
go.
God.
So
Do you know he
Randy,
still hasn't spoken to me since like 2 months ago?
So, you're
He
asking for
literally
5
has
videos
not
to be
spoken
made
to
about
me.
you
I
tomorrow.
have to talk to him every day. It's like, he seems like, oh, we don't need to
jeez.
fall out just because we don't agree with this. I'm like, of course not, Anthony. I'm not going to fall out with you just because you don't agree with me over this. And then he just stops talking to me. It's like, okay, whatever.
Oh dear me. Yeah, well,
That's crazy, man.
well, if Tony doesn't believe it's real and he thinks it's a hoax, he should have no problem doing that.
doing the coronavirus
Doing the
challenge.
coronavirus challenge. But listen, in all seriousness, no, don't do it, Tony. It's not going to bode well for you.
God only knows what else you'd get.
Well, Randy, if you want to do a more in-depth questionnaire, the question is it physical? And if it is physical, how serious? Like, is it like, manageable with, vitamin C, or is it like something that's what we don't know. And I don't know who would even convince me, or maybe I don't want to speak for Sleeping Warrior, but those are the questions that I have. And I'm skeptical that it's real physical just because of being lied to literally about everything.
I think that's the thing. Yeah, that's the whole thing, though, isn't it? What they do is they'll lie to you until they don't. And this is what
Cry wolf.
I said this. I don't know, a few weeks ago at least. Maybe a month ago. I said, look, if you're an auto hoaxer, so that everything that these big stories, these big events that come out, and your default mechanism is to automatically think it's a hoax, and that's what I'm calling an auto hoaxer. Is that, so let's say that you hear this story that a plane has gone missing in the Atlantic somewhere, and I don't know, some personality was on it, some personality. There'll be auto hoaxers out there saying that it's a hoax, that it's not true. It's the same with the coronavirus. When that first came out, your default thing is to say that it's not true. It's a hoax. You're not a hoax. Well, you can be right 99% of the time. You can be right every other time. Every other time that these things have happened, you can be right about this. You can be right about Ebola. You can be right about SARS. You can be right about the swine flu, the bird flu, you name it, every other flu, fucking measles. You can be right about all that until the time that you auto-hoax something and say that the coronavirus, this COVID-19 isn't real. You can be right until you say that that's not real. And then that turns out to actually be real, in which case you're wrong, and all the other times don't matter because,
Yeah, you're up shit creek.
Then you're up shit creek because, you're wrong, essentially, because you've just auto-hoaxed it. Instead of looking at the details, you've actually looked at the numerology or some other kind of weird connection
it's got
to it.
33 in it, so it's got to be fake.
Yeah, but if you dig into it and you look at, I've always done that. I've always done my homework on stuff. I've always looked into stuff. I looked into the measles. I looked into the Ebola. I looked into SARS. I looked into you name it, everything I looked into. The swine flu. I looked into this and I knew it was different. Something was different about this, and it just felt different. There was something real about this, and I don't care. Whatever happens, whatever transpires, right? Whatever transpires from now, whether or not the mortality rate is 1,000% or whatever, right? It doesn't really matter. Whatever the mortality rate is, the simple fact is that the borders are closing, the airlines are shut down, trade has stopped, the economy's tanking, people are being told to stay indoors, jobs are on the line, Literally tonight I heard the French president saying that he's going to look after his citizens by paying the rent, the mortgage, the rent, the gas, the electric, the water, and increase the benefits that the government would normally give for people out of work. He's going to increase that too. So he's going to basically give them everything that they need for not working, literally. So if that isn't like a kind of an indication of what they're going to do to the economy going forward, they're just going to write it all off. But basically, they're just paying people to stay at home. So of course, there's other agendas that may be down the line of this. You know, I mean, it's not like we were stupid to think that, okay, they aren't going to take advantage of this in some way. But of course, all the things that they can implement through this fear of a potential
what a great
plague.
time to start putting 5G.
Yeah,
everywhere
well, if it
while there's no one
okay,
around.
so if it's real, right? So look at it this way: if it's real and it is a plague, right? Okay, look at it from their point of view. They get to kill off all the elderly, right? So they've got no pensions to pay out. They've got no sick people hanging around the hospitals waiting for treatments, being a burden on the community. You know, so that eliminates a lot of potential monetary pitfalls that they may have, you know, right now. You know,
so how much money will they save?
So they'll save a fortune from that. You know, that pays out nice for them. Then, you know, they get to people stay in the houses for a time, so they get to take all the distance out of the houses, and they died of the COVID-19. You know, all these people that you know, the alt media, let's say, the people that disagree with the mainstream narrative, you know, we can take them out under the guise of this. But they could also bring in the collapse of the monetary system that's going around right now. Right off all the banking debt.
Everything digital.
That's basically a payout, Randy. You know what you were saying with the elderly, how it's a financial mindset? That's a very good, maybe that's not exactly what's happening, but that's a good mindset, because even the stock market stuff, people don't understand. It's not like the money's disappearing, it's just getting paid out, you know? So it's they're getting paid, you know?
Well, all they're going to do is they're going to redistribute the wealth.
Exactly.
And they do that by, right, so these big companies that, right, okay, let's suppose that 50% of these big companies are individually owned, right? So they're nothing to do with the elites, but they've sprung up from nowhere. They're self-made, right? Self-made businesses that have actually managed to get there. Well, they collapse the economy. They bankrupt, essentially, those businesses, and they're able to pick them up for peanuts.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then they restructure the debt. They make a different currency. It may be that they bring something in that's like a completely different currency altogether. It's going to be some kind of, I don't know, gold-backed kind of currency or something that they bring in, and maybe they do it on a grand scale. Instead of just having it on the euro, they have it on the world. You know, maybe a world currency, who knows, or a one world government.
Yeah, well, that's what they want eventually, a digital currency that's the same everywhere.
Of course, and then the other thing, if you listen to the advice that the UK put out this week, which, well, last week, was to do this herd immunity thing. So
what is that?
Okay, so herd immunity is that. Okay, so currently, if you believe the narrative that the virus is spreading the world, and we don't have, it's a novel virus, so we don't have a natural defense towards this particular virus. So if we get it, we're on our own, basically. You know, we either defeat it or we don't. We don't have any kind of natural defenses towards it.
Yeah. Because
we've never experienced it before. It's a novel virus, right? So the UK's government, whereas the rest of the world was saying, nah, we're going to isolate, we're going to social distance, we're going to stay in our homes, we're going to sort of like avoid it like the plague. The UK's response was to say, well, okay, well, we're just going to take it on the net, take it on the chin, you know, bring it on, you know, let it come.
Yeah, most people have mild.
Most
just let everyone catch
most have mild, and but at the end of the day, you know, most of us will survive. You know, survival of the fittest. You know, bring it on, because once it's swept through the population, once it's burned through everybody, you know, those that survive will have immunity towards it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, rather than hiding from it and letting it pick us off one by one, we'll just stand up to it like like you stand up to a bully and say, well, we'll take you smacks, but ultimately, you know, the strongest survive, you know, and that's what their policy was. Of course, I had a big problem with that. I put a video out a few days ago about it, and I ran the math on it, and I wasn't even as harsh as I could have been as to the actual potential deaths. I mean, the potential deaths could have been a lot more, but in the Imperial College London, who advised the UK government on their policy of this type of thing, they got in touch with the government. Well, they released a statement this evening, and they basically said, look, the advice we've given you up to now, we've changed our mind now.
Wow.
Yeah, we've changed our mind. We don't think herd immunity basically is going to work. We actually think, we advocate now that you isolate quickly, because we ran the mathematics. Hello, I ran the mathematics a few days ago, and what they're running now is essentially the same. But I ran the mathematics, they ran the mathematics, and now they're saying, yeah, we can't cope with the amount of people that may end up being in a serious or critical condition in the hospital, which may lead, at the best case scenario, to 250,000 deaths.
Wow.
A quarter. So we advocate, even if you now implement everybody staying away from each other, so staying indoors, you're still going to get 250,000 people dead. Right? That's literally what they put out.
Quick point. This is also for me, just being a mathematical type person. Whenever they start quantifying the deaths and then the financial implications, that makes me less comfortable that it's real. I'm just being completely transparent, because that freaks me out. I'm like, no normal group would do that. Like, hey, there's like something happening in the world. Let me run some models and see, and this many people. Who does that? Like, that doesn't solve anything.
Well, yeah, that's true. I agree. I can agree. Models are models. We don't live on. We're flat earthers here. We don't live on a model. Globe earthers don't live on a model. Yep. We of course, but ultimately, the UK government has been taking advice from these people, and these people have told them, what, take it on the chin. Be different to the rest of the world. Take it on the chin. Man up to this. You can stand up to this. Survival of the fittest.
Now they're going, oh shit.
But now they've turned around and said, actually, the spread is that far, and it's that more virulent. It's actually that more potent. It kills more than we thought. We might want to change our mind on that. And what they've advised, get this, they've advised the UK, they've advised staying in the houses until a vaccine is produced, which could take 12 months to 18 months. This is what the Imperial College London have told.
And do what?
To stay in the houses for 12 months to 18 months. I'm not kidding you. This was released this evening.
Sports and do nothing. Right.
Just stay indoors, avoid contact with other people, no shaking hands, no big gatherings, all that kind of, self-isolation, all that kind of shit. For 12 months to 18 months until a vaccine is available, and when the vaccine's available, then we're willing to change our opinion on stuff. But ultimately, all this taking it on the chin, was all bollocks anyway. Because I worked out.
What kind of advice is that?
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
Do you know how many ICU beds the UK has spare at the? Well, not right now, but like a couple of months ago, 701 was the amount of ICU beds we had. How the hell are we going to take? Right, if you get 40 million infected, which is what they wanted, 40 million infected to get herd immunity, which would mean that 20% of them would probably be in a serious or critical condition. That would mean that there was 8 million people needing an ICU bed. How are you going to fit 8 million ICU patients in 701 fucking beds? How are you going to do that?
Exactly.
Can't do it.
You can't.
Unless they're really big beds. Very, very big beds.
The beds would have to be the size of a football pitch.
Right.
Share with a million other people.
I think this virus was actually constructed by Pete Shea and Rumpus together, co-collaborating.
Like the offspring child of Pete Shea.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Which was the giver, though? I mean,
I don't want to get into that. Like he can. He likes to talk about trannies and stuff. So that's speculation, but I'm pretty sure that it was.
Did you see the news? The mainstream media put this woman tweeted something about how somebody had spent $500 million on advertising, that hadn't worked, and they could have given, every person in America $1 million and have money left over. And the news rebroadcasted that $500 million. They're saying, she said they could have given $1 million to every American with $500 million, and nobody caught how wrong the math was. Like, that's
Yeah,
giving
I
$1
saw
million
that.
to 500 people, not,
Right.
like, how dumb are you?
We live in a
How bad
strange
mainstream
movie.
media is. They
It's
didn't
crazy.
notice that the math was that wrong.
Right.
I
I
saw
don't know
that.
what to make of
You've got
this,
to
man.
worry when you've got people like that telling you shit.
It's so confusing, man. Like, people are giving elbow daps, like I'm golfing, and people are giving elbow and fist daps. I'm like, we're still touching, it's not. I don't understand. Like, it just seems really strange. Like, everything.
Can I
Yeah,
just
it's
Can I just
yeah.
respond to Toady? So Toady UK says, and this is really important because I knew this would crop up. He says that your math is wrong because not everyone is infected at the same time, so they don't need all beds at the same time. So he thinks he's made a very good point there, and I want to point out to Toady that he's completely wrong, and he hasn't obviously looked into this. And I'll get into this right now by saying that the UK has just 4,000 intensive care beds. 4,000, right?
Total, yeah.
Total. The recovery time that it takes for the ICU beds for each individual patient in each of those beds to actually go from being in a serious condition to recovering is 14 to 21 days, right? This projected virus is supposed to be reaching its peak in about 3 months, which basically means even if you had a turnover and a success rate of 4,000 beds and every one of them came through it, everyone was great afterwards, everyone lived, right? In that 3 months, you'd only get a turnover of 4. That would be 16,000 successful results. 16,000 successful results over a 3-month period from the people that you took in. That has no effect whatsoever on the 8 million people still waiting for the bed, right? 16,000
I think these
success
people just like
cases.
arguing for the sake
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
arguing.
yeah, exactly. 16,000 success cases does come nowhere near to 8 million people requiring a bed, because then it doesn't matter whether you've got 4,000 people, 4,000 beds, or 16,000. It pales into insignificance when you're talking about 8 million, right? The percentage is
Yeah.
irrelevant. It's so minute. So, Toady, you are completely wrong there. Completely wrong. The UK government needed herd immunity, right? They needed that over the next 3 months, and they needed 40 million people to become infected. And that is the actual facts of it. So, Toady, I'm sorry. I like you. You're a good glober, and you come in and you do that shit. But ultimately, you're wrong. Wrong. Badly wrong. Right. Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry to just jump in
No,
there.
you're right.
What we were talking about. Sorry, I just got distracted there for a minute. So,
What gets me with the vaccinations and this whole thing being a virus is that some of the things that I've seen, the experiments people have done on what viruses are, the guy that we have Steiner schools here in Australia, and the guy who made these schools did an experiment where they sucked the mucus out of people with the flu and injected it into healthy people hundreds of times. Not once could they make the healthy person sick. This guy's saying that a virus isn't contagious. It's not something that's transmittable. It's literally your body cells, the poo of your body cells, when they're getting rid of the toxins in your body, what they excrete, their poo, that is what they're calling a virus. So, when I find out things like that, it makes me think, well,
Hold on,
can I
hold
believe
on.
anything?
Can I just? I really need to stamp out people that are going to misrepresent things that I've actually said. So, I want
Yeah,
to.
go for it.
I want to stamp out this dude here called Palo Duro, who says that now we have 8 million are going to die, and then he
No!
follows that up with
You
an
idiot.
LOL. That isn't.
God.
That isn't what I said.
No, got to
But
misrepresent what you say to make his argument work. Because if he actually said what you said, his argument wouldn't work.
yeah.
You're a
But
fuckwit, mate. Go away.
listen. If 8 million people require a hospital bed over a period of 3 months, and they all can't get a hospital bed, then a lot of them are going to die. That's
Yeah, because they don't have a hospital bed.
yeah.
So more people will die because there aren't enough hospital beds. If they had,
Exactly.
if 8 million people were sick and needed a hospital bed, and they had even 4 million hospital beds, then the other 4 million have got a much higher chance of dying now because they're not in a hospital bed. Like, that's
So
just how it works.
we've been joined by the Adam Meakin, and me and Adam had a bit of a chat before, and I asked him what he felt about the Lancet. Did he know what the Lancet was? And it appears that in the field of medicine or science, it's quite well respected. Adam, would you care to give your opinion on the Lancet?
Yeah, evening, guys.
G'day, Adam.
Interesting. Hey,
Hey.
right, how you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm good, mate.
Not bad.
No, I was saying hello to Paige. Good to hear her
Yeah,
voice.
sorry. G'day, Adam.
We bounce around each other, mate, but very really directly interact. So yeah, good evening.
Yeah.
Or good morning.
Yeah,
Um,
it's morning here for me.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, I think look, we read the Lancet, and I think.
I think the question is it a respected journal?
Oh yes.
What is the Lancet? Sorry, I don't even know what you.
Lancet's an arm of the British Medical Association. It's their monthly. It's a bit like I try to explain. Me as a pharmacist, we have the British the pharmaceutical journal, the PJ.
Yep.
Okay, so that's our particular sphere, and we ascribe to that society, and we're updated with that monthly.
Yeah, you get like your
magazine.
monthly subscription of it.
Yeah, the Lancet's slightly a bit more posthumous than that, in that it has a lot more worldwide renowned, but it's
Right.
still a independent publication in that sense. It's held to its own standards by itself, like a lot of these things, so it's not accountable,
Right.
like a lot of scientific journals. They're all of them, they produce to the best they can, but they're not held to review. It's
Now, it's all right. So I'm just going to sort of like follow up on that, but because I'm gonna present this this Lancet report for the people that are watching. So let's bring this up.
Yeah, I'm going to sound like I'm poo-pooing it right now, and I'm not already. It was literally just me being my viewpoint when I read that sort of paper as somebody who reads lots of papers like that. I said, for me, it's all I can give is my opinion on it. People can do with my opinion what they want. I said that's all it's worth is my opinion. It doesn't mean anything. It's just if I've spent many a year, 30 odd, being presented by pharmaceutical reps similar sorts of statements which appear to be backed up with validity. So I'm fairly well trained, I say, but none of my assumptions are conclusive. All I'm saying is commenting when we were talking is to comment on the language that's used within the Lancet, which I found along with a lot of everything else that's going off, both governmental issue and everything, is very interesting when you look at the language that's being used.
Okay.
And that can be used for one side, the other. Like I said, I'm not trying to draw an inference as to any criticism that I would look at. It's literally just to say there's criticism there. In my opinion, it doesn't support one side or the other.
Okay.
Other than it confounds to me that we're not necessarily being provided direct truths. I think we're all being played with, mate. All being.
Okay. So.
And we've got to we've got to stick together on this and not argue together. This is what we were chatting about, weren't it?
Yeah. But
this is about
can I
where
just...
truth is, and we've got to be able to discuss this and
Okay.
each give our opinion and not be vilified for our opinion.
So
and know that they want to vilify our opinions.
Okay, so I want to give my opinion as to, let's go back around about 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, when I was claiming that the mortality rate in Wuhan was running around about 17%. So I quoted 17%, and I was adamant about that. If you actually look back in my videos, you'll hear many a statement of me quoting this figure. I want to draw your attention to what the Lancet is. So when we type in the Lancet, it says the Lancet is a weekly peer-reviewed general medical journal. It is amongst the world's oldest, most prestigious, and best-known general medical journals. I mean, essentially, you can't get higher praise than that. You know, I mean, that's ultimately the ultimate prestigious journal, as you quite rightly said there, Adam, before. But
I mean, mate, it is like if you're kind of trying to get something published in a journal, to get it published in the Lancet would be the greatest place from a medic's point of view to get it published. It is, I say, a posthumous place to be recognised.
So a couple of days ago, the Lancet released this article. It was called Real Estimates of Mortality Following the COVID-19 Infection. Now then, I want to just bring this up because, and it's not that I'm having a go at Sleeping Warrior here, but he has been constantly mentioning this 17% because everything else that I've talked about has come to pass. Everything. And he's still hanging on to this 17% that I was talking about 6, 7 weeks ago. So from the Lancet, a couple of days ago, from the Lancet, whether or not it can be validated or not, it has been reported in the Lancet. It's got there, and the people that have done it is David Board, Xiong Kui, Karen Nielsen Sains, Didier Musso, Leo Pomar, and William Favre. So they've published this article, and in this article there's a very important sentence here, and it says this: a recent time-delayed adjusted estimation indicates that mortality rate of COVID-19 could be as high as 20% in Wuhan, the epicenter.
Wow.
The epicenter of the outbreak, right? There we have it, right? Whether or not, I'm not interested in clicking links. I'm a painter and decorator from Blackpool, and this is from the Lancet. And they have a statement here saying that a recent time-delayed adjusted estimation indicates that mortality rate of COVID-19 could be as high as 20% in Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak. Underneath that, we have a graph. On the left-hand side. We have mortality rate in percent, and we have the blue line that comes down is the calculated within 14-day delay, and the red line is from the current WHO estimates. So the WHO they stay pretty consistent. They're always around about 2.5% to 3%. But if you look back at February the 10th and 11th. The mortality rate was up at around 23%. And and I have a feeling that was all down to the facilities that were available in Wuhan. the amount of people that got infected, the fact that the Chinese government allowed this to propagate through their community for a month and more before they even made any real efforts to contain it, and they were inundated with people needing medical attention that were in severe or critical condition. They all swarmed down to the hospitals to get medical attention, to suddenly find that they didn't have the IC units there available to tend to their needs, which was why the mortality rate was so high, because they didn't have the critical care.
Before about how many beds are needed. If too many people get sick at the same time, the people who need a bed who don't get one, the mortality rate for them will increase.
Exactly. And when I was reporting this and saying in Wuhan, the mortality rate is 17%. This, from the Lancet, essentially backs me up completely.
See, Toadie's having another
I got a question for you.
Talk about the Lancet. It must be part of the misinfo machine.
Okay, but
foreseeing cherry pick here. How do you discern which journals you agree with? It's not that we agree with them. What he's saying is that these were things he pointed out that could possibly happen, and now he's showing you that yes, there are reputable things saying that yes.
It's also very. It's also one last thing. It's also very, 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 very easy to understand. If in the UK right now there was 50,000 people with coronavirus, okay, and a lot of them may have no symptoms and they don't go around appearing on any kind of radar, nobody even knows they exist, so they're not even in the percentage, right? Okay, but let's suppose there are 50,000 people that are on the radar, right? And of those 50,000 that are on the radar, 20% of them need hospital treatment. So that was going to work out at 10,000 people that are going to need medical care, right? So they're going to need, in some form or other, medical attention. Probably around about 5,000 of them are going to need some kind of ventilation, some kind of respiratory relief to help them live, if they can get it. But the problem is, in the UK, we only have 700 available ICU beds. How are you going to fit 5,000 of those critically ill people with ventilation needs, etc., round-the-clock care? How are you going to fit them in 700 beds? You're not. And this is what happened in Wuhan. Wuhan was swamped with people that couldn't breathe, that were basically drowning in their own fluids because they couldn't breathe. They were drowning. And this is what happened. 20% died. And I was completely correct when I was saying that in Wuhan at that particular time, 17% at least of people were dying. And it's true. And this would be the same in the UK, because if we got swamped, if we had this inundation that the UK government was promoting last week and a few days ago, which was herd immunity, to allow the coronavirus to sweep all over us and just infect everybody, then we would have 8 million people that needed hospital attention. We don't have the beds for that. And, well, okay, so now...
Maybe that's a place we should start, Ranty.
Imperial London...
herd immunity. Because I think that's a great place to agree that the initial governmental approved approach would be to, if we assume what we're dealing with is correct, then that we've got a pandemic that we can try and deal with regards to herd immunity, and that in of itself, I think to a lot of folks training this seems nonsensical as a suggestion for a acute outbreak. To try and resolve it with herd immunity is in of itself nonsensical. Mm-hmm. And for a government department to suggest so is confusing, and to quote Bob, adds to the preponderance of evidence that we have an issue here.
Can I also say
that's the first thing I'd agree with you on, mate, that herd immunity is not a way in which you can effectively treat an acute outbreak like this.
Yeah.
First of all, it requires you to have a pre-developed vaccine, wouldn't it? In of its own definition, it would require you to have the cure before you'd identified the problem for that herd immunity to be efficient in any way.
Yeah, I mean, even Mark Collard and a few other people are saying herd immunity is laughable, and it absolutely is. It's like there's no guarantee that exposing yourself to something is. If I drink alcohol and I get a hangover, does that mean that I'm not going to get a hangover the next time I have a drink?
Wait, Randy, can I ask you a question, man? I agree with the hangovers, man. You got me on that. But here, let's put the Russian bits hat on for a moment. I know, you got issues with that hyper hoaxing, but the Wuhan, China, the 33, what do you make of these videos that a lot of people are putting out where this 33 keeps coming, and you're familiar with masonry and the deception. What do you make of all those news clippings?
I think there's a whole... I think there's oh dear me, so how do I even say this? The start is the virus. The virus is designed in its nature to attack the weak, right? And I feel adamant that it came from that Wuhan level 4 facility, and it was designed as a bioweapon to take out the elderly, to take out the weak, the infirm, the people that were a drain in their eyes on society. The people that took and didn't give back because they weren't able to work anymore. They were just taking up space and oxygen. They didn't need them. So let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of them. That's the first line as an organization, as a worldwide organization. Let's get rid of them people, and then what we can do, we can implement all these lockdowns. We can implement martial law in every individual nation, and whilst we're doing that, we can take all the dissidents, all the shitheads in their eyes, all the people that disagree with the individual governments in each country. We can eliminate them under the guise of this virus. Oh, they died of the virus, did they? Oh, right, okay. We took them away because they had a temperature, did they? Oh, right, what, these people that just happened to disagree with you, we took them away. Then they can implement all this stock market crash. They can implode the stock market. They can take over the wealth of the self-made individuals because their markets would, their holdings would have crashed. So they had to bail themselves out. But they've got a bank behind them. These are the people that want to buy them out. They've got a bank behind them that can give them trillions of dollars if they want to. It doesn't really matter. There's no endless supply of money that, when you want to buy a company, especially if it's worth nothing, and they're going to sell.
Okay, so wait, Randy.
So you can take over all the commodities, all the companies worldwide, and then you can implement one world government, one world currency. It all stems from this one thing. They can implement everything from this.
No, I like that. You're basically thinking it's kind of a mass financial optimization kind of thing, right? On a worldwide type thing. I'm okay with that. At least a good framework, because that really, what else would motivate people unless they're really bored and just want to kill off people for no reason? That's fair. But are you open to the fact that it may not be physical? Like, what has convinced you that this is absolutely a physical ailment?
Just the amount of videos that I saw originally before, knowing Twitter and know what they do. They ban people for, and if they decide to censor stuff, they've got they have hundreds of thousands of people censoring stuff all the time. So they're on it. And when this first came out, there was videos out there that showed the mortality going on, the people that were ill, and that convinced me, because of the research that I did back then before they censored it so hard. It was clear that there was something going on in Wuhan, in China, not just Wuhan, but throughout the whole of China. There was an awful lot of shit going down that was very clear to see. There was enough videos out there that convinced me that something was real. There was definitely something going on.
Okay. So we're doing polls in the chat. Does anyone know anyone who's been physically affected? Do you know of somebody or anybody on the panel, or like?
I don't know anybody.
Okay, that we ask, and honestly, I ask, and I don't ask people at the golf course to be rude because they're like, "Oh, 9 cases in Brazoria County." I'm like, do you know them? You know, or like, do you know somebody who knows somebody? And I would need that at some point. Obviously, I don't want that to happen, you know, to anybody, but
I think,
that's what I'm waiting for.
I think that the next 2 weeks is going to really, because essentially most of the people that watch this, we've got 3 groups that watch the, you know, locations. We've got the UK, obviously, we've got America, and we've got Australia. So we've got 3 areas that, for the most part, we appeal to. I think in the next 3 weeks, this stream that goes out to those regions may, you know, elicit some kind of response from people that say, hey, you know, I know somebody. Because when you're talking just a few thousand people out of millions of people, you know, I mean, the chances of somebody knowing somebody, you know, it's kind of remote.
Fair enough.
But I think as this develops, you know, it may turn out that somebody knows somebody. It may turn out that I know somebody personally, or, you know, it might even affect me. Who knows? You know, or you or anybody. But I think down the line, you know, we've got to look at that as a broader picture. I think it's too small right now to sort of like be asking that kind of question. But I appreciate what you're saying, because I don't know anybody, and I don't know anybody that knows anybody that knows anybody.
Right.
So
it's one of those things where, you know, you don't want it to, you know, you don't want that fact to come true, but it's necessary for especially us who've been duped with this fictitious ball earth. You know, we're very hypersensitive to trust our senses, touch, feel, sight, and all that. So it's one of these weird conspiracies where you really can't kind of touch it because you can't be around it if it's real. So I don't know what would convince me that it's physical, and I don't really want to be convinced, but I'm open, I guess. Chris Berry's in the chat saying he might have somebody in his family affected. So if it's real, we're not excited about it, but
all I'm going to say is that, you know, I've made some provisions here to last a few months. You know, that's what I've done, and that's mainly because if it is real, and I have to go out and I have to walk around and interact with other people that may have it, because I'm actually having to go out and find food down the supermarket that you know, that other people have touched. You know, when this virus could be spreading exponentially. You know, right now there might be only 1,000 people. In a month's time there could be 10,000 people. Well, that's more people that could have touched my tin of soup that I'm about to pick up, because I've had to go out to the shop to go and get it. if I don't have to go out to the shop to go and get it, you know, because I've got the food here, I don't have to put myself in that situation.
No, Rick, your advice would be good, even if it was just a common cold. You know, let's just say there was a cold going around. People are like, hey, you limit your, you know, it'll be logical. So I think your heart was in the right place. So I don't see why you got a backlash on that. That's strange. But I mean, if you're profiting off of that, even still, it's not wrong to profit off of good advice, but it's when people like Christopher Green get on and do it for years.
No,
I mean,
mate.
that's a little different.
Talking about this shit doesn't make you any money. Believe you me, it loses your subscribers. It makes you feel, in the flat Earth community, it kind of like devalues your reputation in a way, because people think that you're more susceptible to the mainstream bullshit, and you know. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's like, it just so happened that I researched this, just like I researched everything else, and I made a very conscious decision to talk about it, because I felt that actually this was different to the rest. And, you know, people can, you know, just accept that, or they can't, you know, but mostly flat earthers will renege against that, and they'll say, yeah, that's wrong, auto hoax. And I understand that situation, because I've been there too. You know, the first thing that came about when I heard about this was like, it's a fake. But I researched it and then found out actually there's some validity to this. There's something going down here. There's something that's different about this. But, you know, and that, we've got to be skeptical of the governments. I mean, look at what they've done. All the fake history that they've done to us. You know, fucking hell.
And charged us for it. It's one thing if they lied to us, they're making us pay for it. That's the part that I get the most upset about. It's one thing to be lied to, you know, we're in a competitive system. okay, you can kind of deal with that. There's still some amount of pleasure, but the people that are in debt and paying for it, that's just so sinister to me, man. Damn.
Randy, Pete's asking for a link, but
So
if he's going to join, just let me know because I'll back out.
I'm gonna roast Pete if he gets on this panel. He's gonna never come on a panel again.
He's been saying in chat that we've never spoken about 9/11 when we had a conversation with him.
Hey, what? We've never spoken about 9/11. Of course we have.
Off our own backs, we've never spoken about. So okay, the coronavirus is because 9/11 was a victim and media hoax, and we need to consider the starlights being projections or whatever.
Aristarchus.
Yeah, Hey, you talked about it, but you didn't reference the dodo.
For fuck's sake. We want to actually think about other things, Pete. We don't want to keep going back to 9/11. We know it was bullshit. We know it was a hoax. We know it's fake. We know the planes didn't go through the building. You can't put a fucking aluminium plane through a steel building.
Right.
Anybody with half a brain knows it was fake. What is the fucking point in you coming on here every single time and bringing it up?
I'll ruin Pete's life if he comes on this, as a promise.
And because I've got a loud voice, I don't believe in the 9/11 hoax because I've got a loud voice, in his opinion. I've been told I've got a loud voice my entire life. What the fuck that's got to do with,
But
me
Randy,
being
I
an
would
agent?
say, those couple times where you did take a moment out from Pete and really all of us, I guess, talking and give people real life advice. That's the scary thing about people like Pete, is they come in here and dilute the one or two hangouts that are just needed to get an important message out. Then he can go and ramble on whatever the hell he wants to talk about. But this is people's lives, and it's scary that truthers like him don't get that. That worries me. It's one thing if it's the ballers and they're.
I just don't understand being stuck in a quagmire. Why would you? I mean, he literally never says anything new. It's like his brain is on repeat, and he can't move forward.
Yes,
and it's like, I don't want to be stuck running in the same position. I want to move forward, thanks.
Bring him on, Ranty. I accused him of making the virus, so maybe he wants to respond.
Okay, hold on for a minute. I just want to respond, right? So there's a guy in chat called Flat Earth, right? Okay, so for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I don't think that this guy is legit. I don't even need to check his channel out. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to ban this motherfucker. Because all he's put right here is Ranty is just pushing more fear propagated by the MSM. Well,
there's a lot of things to fear. I'm sorry. Anybody who says that is out of their mind. There's a lot of things to fear. Okay, we don't want to go and use it to go and hurt other people. That's true. We still have to be aware and generous. But yeah, I hate when Russian vids did that last night and Red Pill. They get on these live streams and everything's fine. It's just only thing to fear is fear itself. No, I'm sorry. That would have worked a long time ago, maybe. Listen, not anymore.
I just want to say that I banned him because ultimately I don't think. Well, obviously it was a troll. It was a troll account that he just made flat Earth, blah blah, with no fucking avatar shit. But it was his message. It was basically. Let me go to his message. Ranty is just pushing more fear porn propaganda by the MSM. I mean, did I do that? Were the MSM even talking about this 8 weeks ago? No, they weren't. Were they talking about it
as much as
7? No, they weren't. It was nowhere to be found. 7 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, it wasn't there. It only popped up about 4 weeks ago, little bit. Then 3 weeks ago, it was like the third story down. And then 2 weeks ago, it just boom, it was everywhere. Right?
Literally.
So 8 weeks ago, when I was talking about this, it wasn't even on the MSM. It wasn't on mainstream media. Right? So...
Ranty, you know what's crazy? Dude, every single corporation that I've interacted with, every hotel that I've gone to is emailing in the last week. We're taking 50 emails. It's just crazy how much it's blown up.
With what? Sorry?
Or just every mailing list and every company that, if you go to a hotel, they respond saying, no, we're reacting to the COVID-19. It's in the last week, everybody's just panicking kind of thing. I agree. It kind of crept up on us a little bit.
It did. But it didn't crop up on me.
Right.
Like 8 weeks ago, when I was being called cuckoo and a fear porn, a fearmonger, all this bullshit, and I was saying to people, look, you're going to end up getting locked down. You're going to end up, running out of food. Get water in, get food in. Look after yourself. Prepare for this. Buy some gold if you need to. Take your money out of the banks. All this stuff that I was talking about. Fuck me. Look at where we are now.
Right.
Even Adam said
you can't take advice from Sleeping Warrior because he's known to be a little bit on the upper echelon of society. So he has a full kitchen in his Land Rover, so he's fine. But I think it's better that we take advice from you. One point, Ranty, before I go on mute, I just want to make that this thing probably could have been more impactful to us if it was prior to Flat Earth. But for me, and really in all aspects of my life, even the religious aspect, I don't want to believe anything anymore unless it's actually real. I just feel like, and I'm not trying to get pity, but I've been burned on so many levels that I think that's why this thing is such a minor thing, that in the sense that I need tangible proof to actually believe that.
Yeah,
it's real.
I'm with you on that, mind. I need to know for sure before I will commit myself to anything anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the good
You've
thing
got another fuckwit in chat, No Name, that thinks a plane can bring down a steel building. Even when the guy who designed the building himself said it was designed and built to withstand multiple planes hitting it. Multiple.
That's true.
No, one aluminium plane that when a bird hits it can bring it down.
Who believes that?
Somehow brings down. I mean, you fucking moron. Wake up. My God.
I have more respect for people who believe in the ball earth than the 9/11 narrative because it's, the ball earth.
If you believe in 9/11, you are a complete fuckwit.
I have no respect for that. You can, it doesn't matter. The ball earth, at least there's some science, bottom up.
Yeah,
yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, they do have some good points. 9/11 has none.
Agreed.
They have no.
Agreed.
Right, guys, we're joined by Right the Hand. Right the Hand, are you there, mate? Yes, I'm
You're on
here.
mute, Chris.
I'm here.
Hello. Yeah, no, yeah. With
Phil. God, he gets into those orbits, doesn't he?
Phil is, the thing is they don't want to admit that their beliefs.
It wasn't the Titanic that sunk, you fuckwit. Oh my God, this is still going on. Sorry, Chris. My God, look into shit, No Name. My goodness, you're spouting rubbish, making yourself look like an absolute twat.
I can't even see him. I think I must have blocked him because...
No, you've modded him because...
I've modded him. Oh shit, have I? Right, I need to...
Timing him
right.
out.
I'll tell you what.
He cried like a bitch, so you modded him.
Oh dear me. Right, listen, I'm going to let you guys handle this for the next minute. I need to run to the little gentleman's room.
I'm going to do the same.
Randy, before you go, mate, I've got to run as well. So I'll try and catch you in the week, mate. It's a pretty busy time for me at the moment.
All right, Adam, you take care, mate.
Yeah.
I know you.
God bless, guys. Take care now.
Take care.
Catch up with you soon.
See you later, Adam. Bye. Right, so Right the Hand, you had something to add?
Yeah, I mean 9/11. Come on. Yeah, the whole. If you can even think that a plane can take out a steel girder, we've said this before. That's, you're on just another. You don't want to know, and this is what I've come to realize that. We think how do ballers get confused, or how does anybody get really convinced of something that's so outrageous? No matter whether it's 9/11, whatever it is, it's because they choose not to have the conversations that's going to lead to the truth. So if you don't want to talk about it, of course you're not going to find any truth in anything. You're just going to have the same old conversations. And to a lot of people have given Ranty shit. Now, I'll stick up for Ranty in this regard that if you listen to Ranty, I can't go and get toilet paper or anything anywhere because it's all sold out. Now, whether the virus is real or not, the effects are real. And if he was calling the
exactly
effects,
what he was saying.
Agreed.
So, and that's my whole thing is like, and everybody who's ever heard me talk knows this, the effects are always real. The cause why, I could give a shit. I don't give a shit why the Dow Jones is dropping. I don't care why Bitcoin is dropping. I just know that it is. And like, these are things that are happening right now. And it's almost like they want you talking about the virus and not the effects of it, and that's like, bro, monetarily, you have to, like, there is a real thing happening right now. Now, what's going on is they're forcing people to stay home. Now, when you force people to stay home, okay, now think about these ramifications. The NBA season has been canceled. Okay, so now you have all these people that are not paying their ticket prices, not paying for the concessions, that are not paying for tolls, for gas, for drinks afterwards. Like, the economy is a fluid thing that is being drastically affected right now because people aren't allowed to leave. Now, what is the government's answer to this? Well, they are now going to stimulate the economy, which means they are going to take more tax dollars and give it basically to the companies that are losing money because the government told them that they can't have anybody working. So yes, they're like, oh, you're now on forced. It's just a big scam. They say Amazon or whatever, like, oh, you can't be on full hours. Okay, but don't worry about cutting people and sending them home with pay because we're going to pay you for that. So
Right.
these companies are just getting money to send people home to not work.
Yeah, it's corporate welfare. That's what Red Pill says. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
But isn't it like, when they do stuff like that, essentially money's worthless?
It's going to be soon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because money is paper that they print. The thing is, you have to work for it, and you have your like. So one of the things that why you do something like this is that before you crash the money, you want everybody to spend whatever little bit they have. So that's what this whole going out and buying crap is about. Anybody that had spare money, they're going to milk it out of you with, oh, you better, get your stuff now. Now, poor people really can't afford, when you're poor, you really can't afford to buy stuff that you're not using in the immediate future. And this is just, again, it's a financial attack, really, basically, is what this is, and it's working. Like, it's really working.
They do this historically. They just crash things, make it pretty cheap for the people who have money on the sidelines to buy stuff, and then they just come in and swoop in and own companies, based on this corporate welfare. So it's not new, but it's scary because of how many people in the world are, on the cusp of financial ruin.
Yeah, no, gas. Look at gas prices. Hasn't really changed, have they? Why is gas not? Shouldn't the price of gas be going crazy up? The price of commodities hasn't really gone up, So that's what makes me think it's more of a not actual depletion of resources, but more of a controlled one.
It's scary, man. It just feels like our government is against us, and they're very powerful. So what the hell do we do?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've ever seen the movie Ethos, granted, Woody Harrelson is talking blah, 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 but there is a lot of truth in what they drop. And one of the things is that the government is not self-sufficient. Like, it needs input. It needs outside energies to sustain it. So if the people that were sustaining the government realized that they were sustaining the government and slowly gave less, you just pull away from the system. You don't buy as much stuff because that was sales tax and that's power for the government. So you grow your food. You know what I mean? Like you don't take longer showers. You just every little But again, this is the whole point of why they make life so convenient, is so that nobody will give up the convenience, because their convenience is their power. If you can't take a cold shower, then you're always going to pay for hot water.
Right.
But what do you think about the French saying that they're going to give free electric, gas, rent, mortgage, water, whilst this is going on, and increase the handouts that they would give normally? It's like unemployed people, so they're going to increase that too. So, what would you say to that?
I think eventually what they're working towards is a worldwide universal basic income, so that nobody works and everybody is just, because that would be like a trial run. They're like, let's see if people, will accept money to not work and stay home, right? Because like if you were like, yo, Chris, I'll give you $1,000 not to work on your garden, I'd be like, no, keep your fucking money. I'm going to be outside. I'm going to do what I want to do with my garden.
Because they want to have a universal income. When AI gets good enough that most of the jobs are taken by robots and by artificial intelligence, they just want to be able to give everybody a universal income. So this is just a good test to see if people will accept that.
Removes motivation to work,
Yep.
And that's really, that's the ultimate control. If you won't even get up to support yourself, you are a slave, right? In so many words.
Can I change the subject just slightly for just a second? So we've got 138 people watching. So I'd like to ask them. These people here that know that this is going off, that know that something is going down. They've got to appreciate that there are people out there that are struggling to look after the family and stuff. I know, Paige, you've had a bit of a tough time of it too, as of everybody, really. But I know that Roxanne, if you guys have heard of Roxanne, the globalist now, I know she was on the phone to me today. She was crying, actually, because, she has, like, a week's supply of food. And if anybody...
Yeah, I've been a bit like that the last couple of days, just really depressed, and that's very unusual for me. Like, nothing bothers me. I just keep going through anything, and even my family says, I'm amazing like that. I don't let anything get me down. But yeah, just the last 2 days, it's just been, I think it's more what you were saying, like with that that poll that you did. It's that I'm trying to get people to understand the things that I've found and the connections I've made, and they laugh at me and think I'm crazy. And then it comes to pass, and I go, well, and they still don't want.
Well, right
to
the hand.
Accept.
So let me just finish. Right the hand. You're self-sufficient. I've seen your farm. It's like a farm, isn't it? It's like some kind of farm you live on. It's like, it's awesome.
Yeah, I got a lot of gardening, a lot of plants, a lot of animals. That's and that really, that was my biggest takeaway from Flat Earth. Was, man, if they're gonna lie about the shape of the Earth, like, why are they doing that? And it just all led into that they just want to control the resources, because if they control the resources, then you have to go to them for the resources.
Yeah.
So if you want to eat, so yeah, they'll give you money because you're going to spend that money and come to them. Then that's the, people think, oh, I'm getting money. Yeah, but the money is nothing. You're going to just take that money and go and give it to them. So,
Exactly.
That's why they don't realize, they think it's free money, but it's really not. It's a monopoly of your abilities. They've just monopolized your ability to really do anything, because all you can do is take that check and go to their markets. Because if you grew your own stuff, you wouldn't be able to sell it. If you had your own stuff, you wouldn't be able to sell it in universal basic income. Nobody would buy it because everything's being provided.
Shout out to Karen B in the chat as well, by the way. Nice to see you in. But the mind of God, I mean, do you have any sort of like way of providing for yourself? With your own grown food and stuff?
No, I live in downtown Houston, Texas, so that's would be nice. I'm sure there's a lot of land not far. Maybe people are able to do that here, but from what I hear of the economics of people trying to do that for families and large groups of people, it's difficult because the numbers don't really make sense. It's just becoming expensive. But that's smart that you did that, right to hand. That's cool, man. And I think that it's just scary, like the way you said it, monopolizing what we're able to do literally is what's happening. And this quarantine and all that is just that to an extreme now. And it sucks, but I think more and more people who are not conspiracy people, they're aware of that now. And so I'm not saying this is good. I'm not laughing at people, but I feel a little bit less weird about being a flat earther or being a conspiracy person, because we all now at least can acknowledge that we're limited in what we can do. Like even just
there's a lot of
average
evidence
person.
for what we think now.
Exactly.
And it's illegal
And that
in
is
some places to collect rainwater. It's illegal to grow
right.
your own food in some places. Like,
It's
how
comforting.
ridiculous. They're getting rid of the seeds. They're GMOing food
Right.
so that it doesn't have its own seed. So you
The
can no
business.
longer just grow your own. Why would they do that? If they had your best interests at heart,
Yeah.
why would they ever stop you collecting water or growing food?
Exactly.
You know, the two things that are fundamental to you being alive, they've taken them from you. And
And
all
Paige,
these
check this out.
people will just let it happen.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
Paige,
if we
even
all
just
rose up at the same time, they
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do anything.
and to be generous, because we can only be generous in their channels, you know. But if a
Yes.
person can make stuff, you know, you can feed people, help them, you know, they come
Well,
by.
like I said about the next door neighbours last week, my next door neighbour had a great big harvest of his veggie garden and brought me over a massive big box full of veggies. And then my neighbour on the other side lives by himself. He's in his 70s or whatever. So if I make a big roast dinner or whatever, because there's only 3 of us in the house,
Yeah.
there's always leftovers. So I just put a plate for him and take it over, because he doesn't have a wife. He doesn't
Right.
have a wife to cook for him. So I do it. And, I'm able to be a little bit more generous like that because my neighbour gives me veggies and, all that kind of stuff. And I grow my own as well. But,
Yeah.
I always have extra. So,
Ranty,
easy
the
to
way
be-
that the way Ranty presented his preparation, where he's like, hey, prepare, get a little bit, then if you don't need it, donate it. If the government did that, that would actually be convincing. I'd be like, maybe this is real.
Restaurants and stuff aren't allowed to give their leftovers to homeless.
Exactly.
They have to throw it out in the rubbish.
Exactly. So
It's
just
like,
the
how
presentation,
ridiculous.
the way they present stuff to us, and I'm not saying this to discourage you in any way, Ranty, but I just want you to know how burned we've been. Like I look at everything. I look at their mannerisms. I look at the words that they choose when they tell us things, all that kind of stuff. And it just, the whole thing just felt really weird. I don't know how to say it.
I just want to respond to Ian Adams in the chat. So, this 5G stuff about this, is it 60 megahertz?
60 gigahertz.
60 hertz,
Yep.
yeah. So all from that. Do you know where that originated from? It originated from one comment from somebody's video. So somebody put a video out a long time ago, and one person made a comment in the chat. So like after the video's uploaded, right? And they said that 60 gigahertz does this, and this, right? And then what's happened then is a whole theory has been born out from that one comment that somebody left on a video from a couple of years ago, whatever, right? And now it's fact. And that is the truth. Did you know that?
So you don't think? So what are you saying? You don't think 5G can do that, or you don't think 60 millimeter?
I'm just saying that the original comment, the original source of that information was a comment that somebody made on a video. So when this video finishes uploading in a couple of hours' time, somebody may leave a comment on there saying that the moon is made of green cheese, right? And then a narrative is born out that the moon is made of green cheese,
and then everyone believes.
And it all comes back. And it all comes back to this source, the source that was made from this comment on this video.
Yeah, see, that's why everyone should have multiple sources, multiple different ways to verify what they think is going on. Like whatever you decide you want to believe in, or whatever thoughts you decide to, whatever track you decide to go down, make sure you're not just getting one view from one source. Try and find as much varied information as you can.
You had something to say then, right at the hand?
Yeah, I think one of the things they do, like, because Yeah, I've never seen 5G influence a body, right? I have a theory, maybe, that this is something that, could be, but again, it's not. And you can see how easily something so small like that comment could, if that's even how it started, could balloon into, oh, this is fact. This is what this does. Has anybody actually gotten a 5G device, put it in front of water or whatever, and like turned it on and watched it do anything? I haven't.
No.
So yeah, this is ball flat Earth to a T. Ball Earth will believe what they hear. Flat Earth's like, I want to see it.
Well, it's good. Actually, good you say that, because a guy that I know watched that video where they put the steel wool around a phone and made it set on fire when the phone rang. So he went out and got some steel wool and tried it and could not get it to light on fire.
Just remember, though,
tested it.
that this 5G stuff all came from one comment, from one video that was years ago. It was like literally taken as fact by one person making one comment on one video, and it spread like wildfire, that other people then took it up and ran with it as it being the truth.
I think one of the things they do is that they'll like leave those kind of crumbs on purpose. Like this is a great example. It's a little off topic, but we can bring it back. But the Tyson Fury Wilder fight, right? Like, so there was a lot of controversy surrounding this fight. If you watch the fight, like Tyson's Fury's gloves are like floppy. Like, it's like he has his hand in the wrist, right? It's so painfully obvious, but no ref called it, no nothing. I think they did that on purpose. It's like, it fucks with conspiracy people. It just gives them like another little road to go down and just like get lost
more
in this,
rabbit
like,
holes to get
and so they manufacture all of these little things. So they probably even, left that comment about 5G and then, and then used their whole system of media to perpetuate it as some kind of fact, even though it didn't really come from anywhere.
That's what annoys me about Q and Trump followers who want to believe that he's this savior. It's like, hang on, don't you understand? They control both sides. They will control the aggressive side and the defense side. That's just how
Correct.
they work.
Technically, it's God, but I hear you, Paige. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Were you aware of that, though? I mean, were you guys even aware that actually, all came from one particular comment?
No.
No, I didn't know that anyone thought that. No.
So I've got a question. Well, we've got the Mind of God in here, and he says that I'm just looking at his chat, and he says the stock market dropped 13% today?
13% in one day. That's crazy, dude. Today, yeah.
Can I just say, I'm going to bring my little comment
on
box across.
3:16, like Paige said, John 3:16. It's very curious.
So it says 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately it doesn't give you an actual date. But it was around about 2.5 weeks ago that I put this up, and it says the stock markets, which open again tomorrow, are likely to suffer huge losses. So you need to think, if this will affect you, how can you mitigate the impact? Just a heads up. So this is 2 weeks ago, and in that time, right? If you had put £100 in the stock market at that time, if you had £100 invested in it, that £100 would be worth about £67 right now. It would have lost a third of its value in those 2 weeks, in those 2.5 weeks that from when I actually put this post up. So you can actually check that it's only had 5 up there. I mean, come on. So it's had 5 likes. I get more likes on crappy thing. I get 100 likes on other stuff, but I got 5 likes on this. Obviously, nobody's interested in the stock market. It's fair enough. But I put this out there, and absolutely spot on. I mean, you'd have lost. Go on.
Sorry, Ranty. Credit to you, man, for stepping out of the. I'm not trying to be rude here, but we sometimes assume all the flat Earth people are in their own little flat Earth conference bubble. So you stepping out, man, helpful, very much. But I think it's you're gonna step into terrain that not too many people will co-sign, but I certainly think that it's relevant. for sure. I mean, that's a lot for those markets to drop. I mean, 13%. We're hearing corporate media say, no, it's not a big deal. If you take your money out, you're going to miss out. Like there's some party going on in the plummeting stock market that you're going to miss out on. Like the whole narrative is so dumb. Like it's ridiculous.
Is another comment that I put again about 2.5 weeks ago. Is it possible that lockdowns over cities could start as soon as this week in the US?
Yeah, I think so.
This was 2.5 weeks ago. In Northern California, need to keep out for this possibility. By all accounts, this is certainly the red zone right now.
Downtown Houston's a ghost town, man. Like no one's working from the office. I went into Chipotle. I was literally the only person. It was kind of nice because I was like literally the only person in the restaurant. It's crazy, man. It's weird. It's eerie. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got. Oh, it doesn't even show it properly on there. So I've got another post up with. Here we go. Did you see the one that I put out yesterday about the grabbers on Blackpool?
Oh yes, with the toilet paper and stuff inside. Classic.
I saw the one with the machine where you can, put the claw down and get the sanitizer.
Yeah, the grabber. Yeah.
That was mad funny.
That's it. So we've got the grab machine. Obviously you guys can't see this right now, but we've got the grab machine, and we've got loo rolls, we've got hand sanitizer, and it's like, are you lucky enough to win one of these?
A baller could think that is actually a projection, so they would never be able to grab one of those. They won't know what's real.
Actually, there's been a really good comment in chat from No One's Flower saying, better to have nothing to lose, less shocking. And that's exactly what I've been teaching my youngest boy, is that the less you want for things, the less materialistic you are, and the more you just focus on what you need instead of what you want, the happier you will be. He's only 13. He already wants to live out on a farm and have his own little thing and not have to go into town, and it's awesome.
No, we have the belief that some entity out there allowed us to believe a truth that a majority of the world does not even believe or even fight against. That's something, and I think it's scary to go through this, and I'm not trying to make fun of other people, but it would be scary to go through this without even a 5% chance that God's involved. That would just be mortifying to me.
Can I just bring it back onto the point? I know what you're saying there, the mind of God. But a lot of people say, well, we don't have money invested in stocks and this, that, and the other. But I'm not really sure that was, obviously that's what you're going to think. But the point was bigger than that. It was broader than that. It was a look at the stocks kind of message. It was a message to people that obviously invest in stocks, but it was also a message to say, hello, check what's happening on the stock market, because you may see something that's going to affect you in the long term, because you're going to take an eye on what I'm actually pointing you towards, so you've got to look at my posts and think, I'm not going to tell you what's happening directly. I never do that, ever. Just say, look, this is what's going to perhaps happen on the stock markets. You might want to look at that, and then you take a look at it and you see that the stock markets are dropping 10% each fucking day, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then you're like, oh shit, there's something going on here. I direct you in a direction and say, take a look. And it some people get it, other people don't.
It's such a human psychology, right, Ranky? It's like, even with the food stuff, and I'm not trying to justify people maybe not thinking about the future, because I tend to do this too, but it's like, we just assume, every day for the last 10 years, I've gone to the grocery store and there's always been that product, and they just assume the same with their money, every day I log in and the money, is there. And I think people are waking up to this reality where it may not.
Pete Shea says, you should stock up on petrol for your car. Absolutely, yes, you should.
Yep.
Yeah, I
I've
can't.
been keeping my cars full.
Can't agree more with that. Absolutely, 100%. If you can actually get 2 or 3, canisters of petrol too, get a hold of that, because there's a chance. And tobacco, tobacco, you're going to run out of tobacco soon. I've actually been buying tobacco. I don't smoke. I gave up smoking 3 years ago. But I actually bought tobacco this evening because I feel that it may be some kind of currency down the line. Seriously.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Ranty,
I've been thinking I'll just give up if it gets to that stage where I can't even buy smokes anymore. Then yeah,
Ranty, dude, put your address in the chat so we can all come by and see what you got stored. Just spam the chat really quick with your address. That's brilliant, though. That's actually smart.
For real.
Staples.
For real, because people will be losing their shit when they can't have a cigarette.
Yeah, when they can't have a cigarette.
Yeah, right.
When you hang out the window with a 50-gram packet of fucking amber leaf and you're waving it under the fucking noses,
How much would somebody be willing, to give you? What would they be willing to give you? Would they give you food out of their cupboard if they wanted it that badly?
Yeah,
they might. Yeah,
that's proper.
Yeah, they might.
That's proper currency. That isn't fucking paper. Paper isn't going to make you a smoke if you're a cigarette. If you smoke cigarettes,
Exactly.
It's weird. I like being around people who smoke cigarettes and cigars, but I don't like smoking it myself. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure people have gone addicted and accustomed to that. That would be the first thing they'll freak out about. So,
yeah, I'm shocked. And I've had about
available.
half a dozen just sitting while we've been talking now.
Tobacco is actually pretty easy to grow if you've ever tried.
Yeah.
So
It's not tobacco that's bad for you. It's the shit in the filters and the chemicals they put in it that's bad for you. It's not the tobacco that's bad.
But it's the thing, this is another thing. I'm sure that probably 20% or 30% of the people listening right now are smokers, and they haven't even thought for a minute that the supply line may affect the cigarettes or the tobacco.
Yeah.
But
it'll affect everything.
I am telling you right now, that you need to go. If you've got money to buy some cigarettes and tobacco, and
go and buy a carton or two.
Go and buy it. Because you're going to need it. Because it will run out. I guarantee within 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be the stores will be struggling to supply your own brand of cigarette or your own tobacco or whatever.
Cigarettes here, I don't know how expensive they are in your country, but over here they've gotten to around about $1.10 to $1.20 each. So a packet of 40s for me costs me about $56. A carton of 200 is about $220.
Jeez.
Yeah, very expensive.
Inflation's for real. The basket of items they use to measure inflation, and they keep saying, oh, there's no inflation, then there's no inflation, but they pick items that they purposely are suppressing the cost. So it's ridiculous, man. Inflation's real. For real.
In real, yeah, exactly. And if you've got, let's say you've got 500 quid in your bank right now, and you could literally go out and you could buy, let's say, 20 packets of tobacco, right? Okay, so you could buy that with that. But in 6 months' time, with that same £500, you might only be able to buy one.
Yeah.
Who knows where this is going to end?
Hey, Ranty, since you're on the inside and you're a Mason and stuff, can you
I'm
tell
not
us
a
one
Mason,
secret?
for fuck's
No, but can you tell us
sake.
one secret about the future, man?
No, I can't, and I am not a Mason. Seriously, no, not at all. I wish I had all the answers. I don't. Listen, if I was, I wouldn't be fucking sitting in a fucking hovel like this. And well, it's not a hovel actually, but I wouldn't be having to work. I wouldn't be having to work for a living. Let's put it that
Ranty,
way.
do you believe, just from us, we're individuals, people like me are in this, do you, like Mark Sargent and all them, we hear him and we think he knows stuff. Doesn't it sound like he knows things that not everybody, we know as flat earthers? Do you get that vibe?
When he talks, he's kind of like as a hypnotist, I would say. He's a bit hypnotic.
Yes.
He's a bit hypnotic. When he's got this aura about him that kind of hypnotizes you. And Yeah, that's all I can say. I mean, he gets himself on the TV and he puts himself out there, which he, sort of like promotes Flat Earth, which is awesome. And he's updated his Flat Earth, what he talks about on these shows. He's updated that because the old stuff that he was talking about was getting a bit, it was like 2017, 2016, I mean, now he's moved into 2020 and he's getting better at talking about Flat Earth, which is good. But unfortunately, with that comes with the side effect of not being put on the mainstream as much.
Right.
Because if you drop in too many truth bombs, I mean, you're not going to be put on on the TV again,
Fair enough. But if you hear his audiobook, dude, it sounds straight from like the Bible of Mark Sargent, and you don't represent him, but I was just curious, like if you could drop us a gem, to give us some hope of the future. But fine, fair enough.
No, unfortunately, I don't have any link. To be honest, I just do my thing. I'm just messing with you. I just do my thing, I mean, you thought I was a Mason months ago, and I was like, holy shit, man, are you fucking kidding me? My God. But
no,
listen.
I don't base it. Well, yeah, maybe actually, yeah. I mean, I think it's just anybody who has a restricted topic, and that's why Pete, is in the chat wanting to get on. People who keep talking about the same thing over and over again, that's weird. And
yeah, it's weird.
It's just odd, We could still be wrong, like just because I talk about the same thing over and over again, but I also freely admit that I could be wrong, and if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to keep believing stuff, but it's people who keep saying stuff over and over again because Pete is waiting for Aristarchus to come on April 22nd, man. So I've circled that day. I'm not going to golf. I'm going to wait, and hopefully the dodo shows up.
I think you guys should have it out with Pete. What do you think? Do you think I should bring him on? Do you think I should bring him on and you ask him?
I'm bowing out if you
at his own risk.
I've got a headache already. I don't need to listen to the same. I mean, he literally says the exact same thing every time. Like, I tried to listen to him. I tried giving him, the benefit of the doubt at the start, thinking, okay, maybe he's found something that, I haven't found yet. So I listened to it. But when all he ever says is, have you considered? And then he'll say the same thing, and have you considered? It's like, yeah, I considered it. Now what? Like, you literally just keep coming back saying, have you considered? Have you considered? Have you considered? Yeah, I fucking considered. Now what? He's not giving us any more information. He's not expanding on his ideas. He's not, it's just the same thing every time.
I want to shout out Leah Templar in the chat who says, Ranty is a painful and decorator. I'm a painful.
Legendary.
Oh dear me, that's funny. I tell you what, I was in the paint shop this morning, and the guys on there, because one of them's taken some time off leave, because self-isolating and all that, and it was such a long time to get served at the till. There's one guy on there, and there was another guy in the back on the fucking phone. Anyway, so after about 20 minutes, finally got served, and the guy said to me, he says, do you want to buy some of this? I went, what's that? And he showed me a loo roll with 4 for £20 on it. I didn't even see it. He had it on the shelf. 4 for £20. I was like, oh shit, I've got to take a photograph of that. So I've got a photograph of that on my phone. It was really funny. I was like, wow.
I see memes like that every day. It's hilarious. Not that it's funny, but it's like funny. Yeah. People drive up and they think they're doing a drug deal, but they're buying like toilet paper. I've seen those, many of them.
Oh, that was classic.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Remember where you got this from?
If we're this dependent on toilet paper, what are we gonna do as humanity? Damn, man.
Yeah, there's people having fights in the supermarket over toilet paper.
Yeah.
What are those people gonna do? Would you want to be their neighbour when they've got no food?
Yeah.
Like, the media has got us all thinking that we are against each other when, if we pooled our resources and helped each other, we could do anything.
Correct. Yeah.
But they want us all, looking out for who's going to jump us next and who's around the corner and who's an agent and, who's got a loud voice. It's like, no, fuck off. Like, my goodness.
They're our enemy. If we just all agreed on that, I agree. We could create a very, very good setup, in a few months.
Yeah,
really.
Flat Earth Fokker was talking a little while ago about a community, a Flat Earth settlement where, you people who wanted to live that way, you buy a huge big parcel of land, thousands of hectares, and we all put in money and buy it, and then we all just live in, and have your own gardens and have a community that you actually want to be a part of,
I want to
people who can bake and people who can make shit, build shit, and you just do what you can do instead of working a job you hate for paper monopoly money.
For tokens. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Shout out to Ian Mattison, who says, he's given the super chat, says, this is for shares in Ranty's online store. Unfortunately, I don't have an online store. But thank you.
He's talking about your house, Ranty. He's talking about your house.
Oh, is he talking about the house? Right, sorry.
He's talking about your house, man.
My bad. Oh, fucking hell, right, okay. Listen, if anybody, honestly, do you know something? And this is the genuinely honest truth, right? The reason, I've got a bit of stuff stored, right? But if anybody needs anything, I'm going to post it to you, but I mean locally, people that are in the street or, really fucking needing of stuff, I've got something that I can be able to give to them, we're in this together. I think at the end of this, whatever happens, whatever the economy is like, or whether or not we've got food in the stores or whatever, but I think at the end of this, we're really going to have this sense of like camaraderie, at the end of it, because people will be helping strangers. At the moment,
I hope so.
We're all distant. I don't know the next door neighbour. I don't know the next door neighbour that way. Don't know the person across the road. I don't know any of these people. But I have a feeling that in 6 months' time, I probably will.
Great.
And if I can help them out a little bit, I will do, and I will do that. Because we're all in this together, and that's the way I see it.
Ranty, that's a great point. Either we'll see it, or we'll learn it by contrast, by seeing the opposite. But I think you're right. Either way, that point will be brought home, that we're better helping one another than ravaging each other.
Yeah. Exactly.
Listen, Ranty, if you want to bring Pete on, honestly, it doesn't bother me. Like, I'll just go on mute. I think he's desperate to defend his honour or something. I don't know why. He thinks that
Pete has honour? What?
Yeah, just because I've got a different opinion, I don't. I just think he's annoying. Somehow that's made him an enemy. It's like the thing with Sleeping Warrior. We don't have to fall out just because we don't agree on this, and then he falls out with me. It's like, I'm not the one with the problem here. You are.
Yeah, Pete is here, Paige. Pete is here. To do his own speaking. Yeah, mind of God. What's this about? You seem to have a greater level of respect for the baller liars who've been proven liars over and over again. When Pete says something, then all you get from you, the Bible literalist mind of God, is ridicule.
Right.
And Paige, you have a mouth about everything, and it's stuff that I'm talking about. How do you know that you haven't considered it, right? If you haven't considered it, then how do you fucking know what you might be talking about or otherwise?
Pete, you never say anything but have you considered it? So what am I considering?
I don't know. I don't speak especially to you anyway. As far as I'm concerned, you're new to this, relatively new to this arena, so you haven't considered everything. I need to find out where you're at when I'm having a conversation with you. When I mentioned in the chat about 9/11 being a media and a symbolic hoax, I'm talking about mind of God off his own back, Stop talking, Paige. Off his own back talking about this, or Ranty talking about this.
Just lie and say you said something you didn't
Stop talking. Let me finish my sentence. I can't hear you when I'm talking.
About 9/11.
I can't hear you when I'm talking.
With you about 9/11. So that
right.
was a lie.
Listen to me. I said, right, that you never spoke. I never heard. I know I've mentioned it here, and you give your 2 cents worth very briefly, but I've never heard you trying to decode it or deliberately knowing that it was a media hoax, looking into the greater symbolism, as if it doesn't connect to all of this. The coronavirus, the flat Earth is intimately connected to 9/11. Everything is intimately connected.
How?
How? You don't know because you haven't been asking the right questions, right?
No, no one knows, man.
You're not going to say anything. You're just going to tell everyone to consider it. But you're not going to
Right.
actually say what you think.
Maybe it's something
This
in your
is the
tone,
problem
though.
I've
Do you
got
speak
with
for all
you,
women
Pete.
now, Paige? Maybe it's something in your tone. This newcomer on the scene with the big loud mouth,
Because
the know-it-all.
I'm not new, Pete. I'm nowhere near new. Just because you haven't come across me doesn't mean I'm new. You've got no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Pete, just chill, man. Why are you
Listen, man, don't tell me to chill because you're a two-faced little shit.
Why are you critiquing people's tones when you come in hot, dude, on every single hangout, dude? What do you want us to like whisper to you just so you don't get irritated, man? Just chill out.
You fake, man. Where are you coming from here? How many fakes have you called out? How many fakes have you called out within the arena? You just talked about Mark Sargent there, man.
No, dude, I've called out many fakes. I mention you on my channel regularly about being fake.
Right,
so
but hang on. You talked about Mark Sargent here and the whole Oakley crew, the whole potato crew being put in place, right? You didn't talk about that specifically, but that's a big issue. How many people are talking about that?
We know that.
If you can't recognize the deception within, if you can't recognize the deception within your own fucking camp, how are you supposed to recognize anything without it?
It's not a deception. It's they're only allowed to talk about certain topics. That's why Ranty branched out because he wanted to go into other things, and so I was giving him credit for that. So
yeah, that's a timely branch out, Ranty. And now you're throwing your friends under the bus that you've known for years and you trusted for years.
What's he supposed to do, Pete?
Who are my friends?
I'm talking to you, Paige.
Pete, who are my friends that I've thrown under the bus?
Tiny branch out. He's only got one channel. He's only one man. What do you expect him to do?
I'm not asking you for a comment on everything. I know Ranty before you, Paige, and I've been here for the last 5 or 6 years.
I don't give a fuck, Pete.
Well, stop talking. Stop talking. Fucking hell.
All right, Pete, what's your point? Sorry, go.
Stop talking. Right. What do you mean, what's my point?
No, who are my friends that I've thrown under the bus, dude? I come solo in this, man.
I didn't talk about you. I said Ranty. I said Ranty is having a fallout with Nathan Oakley and Anthony Riley.
Yeah, because all they can talk about is one horizon. That's it. They don't talk more about that. So that's
so maybe that's a controlled thing. Maybe that's a controlled thing.
Of course it is. The narrative.
Right. So how are we supposed to find out? So how are we supposed to figure out ourselves as individuals here what the true story is?
Well, we have another issue because a lot of people are going to be running out of food, man. So I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
True story.
This is what I've been waiting for, man. I knew this was coming. I knew the end was written before the beginning, almost. Okay. So, but what's the nature of it is the thing. And I'll just say to you, right? I think it's all down to ultimately to the individual. Ranty is saying the same as most people can relate to. We don't know our neighbors anymore. Maybe we'll come close to things, but as individuals, have we put the pieces together that were presented to us over the years? That's the question I think is important here.
But Pete, also to be fair to Paige, when you say somebody, have you considered that condescending tone? We got that from the baller. So don't come with this high horse like you're on some next level truth. The way you're speaking to us about all these theories that are just theories, and you need to word it that way. Don't come with us because we've already been burned by that, dude. So don't
listen, man. You're part of the Bible. Hang on, you're part of the Bible literalist crew who are the strongest force in flat Earth. When I ask people, have they considered? Stop talking, Paige. When I ask people, have they considered something? Jesus Christ, you're right, wench, aren't you?
Pete hates the Bible.
What difference does it make, Pete? You
stop talking. Stop. Listen, go on mute.
But you never give any evidence.
Listen, it's after 12:30 here. Go on mute. I don't want to be roaring you down. Stop talking.
For the record, I haven't brought up the Bible yet.
Right.
He always brings it up.
Right. So
you always bring it up first.
So you're diminishing me by making a little of when I ask people, have they considered something? If I'm talking to somebody about something that they don't know anything about, I'd like to find out, right?
Yeah, but don't say it in that way. That's my point.
I'll say it in whatever way I like because I know you're part of the Bible literary crew and you won't consider anything but a literal Bible,
other people's
right?
tone, so I'm critiquing yours. That's it.
Right. Well, I came in now, right, because of the attacks that was made against me.
They weren't attacks. I say them regularly.
Is that we're sick of hearing the same thing? It never changes.
You're sick of it, are you?
Correct.
And you're having the same arguments for years, and then I'm the only fucker who's talking about anything different here.
No, we were talking about food shortages.
You're just repeating a mainstream fucking story, is all you're doing.
And you gave me shit for that. So no, you're the one stuck in running on the.
It's just like this loud voice in the corner shouting as if they know something, Paige. I haven't learned anything from you.
I don't want you to learn anything from me, Pete. And I
Shut
don't
your
need
mouth,
to learn
then.
anything from you. I will make up my own mind.
Jesus Christ, you remind me of that, or your fellow Australian. What's the trouble about? You remind me of that. Difficult fucking people.
All right, Pete, what do you want to share, man? Just get it out. Like, what do you want to make fun of me? I'm a Bible literalist. You don't like Paige?
No, I don't want to make fun of anybody, man. I want you to recognize that the Bible literalists are a strong force within flat earth. And if you're talking about let's bunch together here, right? And you're saying at the same time that you realize that the whole arena is sort of set up from the outset and there are groups of people controlling the narrative that are allowed to go and broach certain areas or not. That's a contradiction, right, in one sense. And it's not bad, good advice.
It's not a contradiction. It's just we're waking up to how deep the deception is, that it's even encroaching potentially even on the flat earth. And you've known that, so credit to you. It's obvious to us now, many of us.
Who's us? What do you mean it's obvious to us? Who's us?
To people,
doesn't seem like there's anything obvious.
You just asked me a question. I'll answer it. I'm talking about the people who have not been in flat earth maybe as long as you. That's us. That's what I'm talking about.
So what message are you putting across then? And who are you representing? You're a Bible literalist, and the Bible literalists are the strongest force in flat earth, right? As flat earthers, we understand that the church always controlled boats. Shut your fucking mouth, Paige.
I'm in a group of people who are...
It's your stupid shit, Paige. I've never heard anything from your mouth that's worth hearing.
I don't want to tell
anybody. Stop talking. Go on mute and stop talking.
Dude, Pete's in a bad mood today, man. Pete, you okay,
I'm
man?
not in a bad mood. Every time I say something, this stupid woman comes in and interrupts me.
I'm not sure what dude. Okay.
Snowflake.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm a Bible literalist. Fair enough. I am of the many people who are now flat earthers who are looking for God and then looking for his existence. You know, we're trying to understand why were we deceived and what is the plan. That's what we're here to brainstorm.
Right. So will you accept that do you accept that this arena is set up from the outset, mind of God?
It has to be, yes. But I should have known this from the beginning, but I only would say that I've known that the earth is flat, like from a technical perspective, relatively recently, where I had comfort, like clear comfort.
Right.
But yeah.
So if you're in knowledge of your position, sometimes maybe you should sit back and listen. Right.
I do.
But do you understand that the Bible literalists are the strongest organized force here? And do you understand why they are?
I'm sorry, guys. I have to interrupt here, right? So, shout out to Ninja Man who says, "Hit him, Paige, hit him." Right? That's really made me giggle. But realistically, I interrupted to say to Godzilla 37. This, to me, anyways, is great internet entertainment. Bring on blood sports. Indeed, hilarious stuff. And Ninja Man, yeah, that cracked me up. Thank you.
Story interwoven into all of this. If you care about trying to figure it out somewhat, I think that would be helpful for the individual, don't you think?
But Pete, 1 second. Let me elevate your mind. They report to Dearth and Sargent, who are simulation effectively atheists. So I don't know where you're getting this. The hierarchy is very clear that Oakley reports to QE, who reports to the Dearths and Mark Sargent.
Mark Sargent is not an atheist. Neither is Dearth an atheist.
He's effectively an atheist. Yes, absolutely.
Well, then they're blatant liars because they're not atheists. There is a creator in their lives, and that's fair enough. Now, I have a different view on I'm just saying, first of all, that there are people put in place. What is the real motivation behind their actions? That's a different matter. That's a very deeper discussion. But if we're trying to figure out whose side is on who is on whose side, well, then all these questions come into consideration.
So why not have that deeper discussion then, Pete? This is what I'm talking about. You just say the same things, and you always say things like, oh, that's for a deeper discussion, or, have you thought about why, or whatever, but you never actually say anymore.
I'm easily capable of doing that, Paige, but generally on these type of platforms, last week we had Professor Belland in, right? What are you going to get with that? Anytime there's any baller in, there's trouble.
Let me ask you a question.
Who Ranty brings on?
I'm not saying that. There isn't the opportunity is what I'm saying.
Pete, who does everybody report to in your mind? What person do you think is the most powerful individual in Flat Earth? Who do you
think? Listen, man, I think the creator is in control of everything.
Okay,
We're
I
having
do
an
too.
experience here. We're having
I
an
do too.
experience here, and it's all wrapping up. And that's what I'm saying. It's an individual's journey here. When I say about 9/11 or Aristarchus, right? I say
Oh,
that for
God.
definitive reasons. And if you don't want to hear it, that's fine. That's fine. You know, I understand it means nothing to many people, but I tell you something for nothing. It means something to the people who know, because there's a
No,
story
but dude,
attached to our life.
now you're
There's
talking
a
about
story attached to
Aristarchus.
our earth here. I'm telling you that. We know what is bunk. We know about historical revisionism. That's why the Bible literalist. You should be the first to question whether the Bible is literal or not the
I
last.
question.
Sorry. Oh, dear me. Amanda Young says, shout out to Ranty, Flat Earth and Page, you all are ace. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm still laughing from from a comment that somebody said before. Ian Masterson again. And I made this response. Haha, shit roll for sale. One side used and 40% off. That cracked me up. There's a meme waiting there, I tell you. There's a meme waiting.
Our everyday
It's just
experience
verifiable
is an
as anything
observation.
else.
But that's not even the matter. It's not about Aristarchus in one sense. It's about how good the individual has been at picking up the clues. It's like 9/11 conspiracy, for instance. Anyone who says that, oh, of course I know 9/11 was a conspiracy. Well, though it was handed to us on a plate. A dog with a mallet up his arse would know it was a conspiracy. But you were supposed to make your way through
They
the layers of
should
it
know,
and
but
see
they
it
don't.
and see it for the hoax that it was, but a symbolic hoax. So in other words, if you didn't take any symbolism from the greater 9/11 story, you missed the fucking complete meaning.
But what I get stuck on is, at the end of the day, why does it matter if I miss the symbolism of 9/11? If I'm a good human being and I live my life being a nice person, I'm a good mum, I'm a loving wife, that kind of thing, why does it matter?
Because it's your story, Paige. 9/11 was an inside job inside
No,
of
it's
you.
not my story.
Right, well, it is
But
your story.
It's your opinion of what my story
It's
is.
not, it's your story. But you just don't know it. That's all, because you didn't
No, it's
take
not that
it
I
further.
don't know. I know what you're talking about. I just don't completely agree that that's what's happening. You know, I can't believe anything that I find from history, from books, from the internet.
Ninja Man says, we're all shills apart from Pete Shea. Listen, if you're not a shill, according to Pete Shea, you're not even relevant. That's the way it goes. It really is. Listen, it took me a year to get the shill from Pete Shea. You have to work for that.
Oh, and I live my life.
And that's you, though. That's you,
animals.
Paige.
Yeah,
But that's you. You don't have to have an opinion on everything, you see.
Fun.
And Ninja Man, you're ace, by the way. You're absolutely ace. Cheers for the super chat as well. Thank you.
You live your life and the whole earth is shutting down, right, Paige? Maybe you'll ask yourself. Well, maybe you'll ask yourself. I don't like your attitude here, because maybe you'll ask yourself in time to come, maybe I should put a bit more time into thinking about that. Right?
Why? That's what I'm asking.
That's
why?
your own business.
Think about what?
I'm not trying to preach anything to you. I'm not trying to preach anything to
are.
you. But no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
You are.
No,
Yes,
I'm not.
you are.
I'd rather not talk to you,
Yes,
Paige,
you are.
actually, because of your aggressive tone.
That was an aggressive. Wow.
In general, when it's calmer, it's okay.
You're pushing that. Pete, you're pushing that symbolism like a bunch of Mormon kids on the street who are just totally.
No, I'm not.
lost
I didn't come here to talk about that. That's a different aspect of my research and my findings, mind of God.
So
right?
You came here to make fun of Paige.
I didn't come here to make fun of Paige.
Okay, so what do you come here? What do you want to discuss?
Who are you? What are you asking all these questions for? Who are you? Have you appointed yourself into some sort of a role here?
I am waiting. You asked me. I'm waiting for the God of the Bible to express himself in the way that he's revealed himself to me. And if that doesn't happen, I will tuck my tail between my legs and move on.
Right, in
That's
between your
why I'm
mountain rounds, right?
Exactly.
Have you abandoned the legal name, mind of God?
I actually don't even know what that means, and I don't find that interesting.
You don't know what it means. You don't know exactly. You don't fucking know what it means.
Right. I don't care.
You don't know. No, you don't. Just like, yeah, That's all right, though. I'll warn anyone listening here. The Bible literalists are the strongest force here. The church has always controlled both sides. And just as Paige said, the narrative is always controlled. Now, ultimately, it comes back to you, the individual, deciding if there is any hope for you here. Where is the creator in all of this, right? I myself have a different take on it and say that there's a different story interwoven into everything that we've come by up to this point. And it was there for us to read, should we choose to read it. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only route to it. You talked about being a wife, a loving wife, and a person. Fair play to you, Paige, and I mean that genuinely. And the truth will come, I guess, from within as well. But there's a story to be read outside. And when we're talking now about the likes of coronavirus and what is and isn't real, well, then you have to be getting your information from somewhere. So the individual then will use their discernment and what they've come to learn over this experience, this journey, and apply it to maybe the finale, the final act of the whole story, the coronavirus. Corona relates to the sun. What is the sun? At least what I have to say about the sun in Aristarchus' mind of God is something definitive. I don't hear anything from many other people.
I don't know, man. I don't know how to test what the sun is. I wish I could. I would love to.
I'm saying the story is written from the start. So it's a matter of us reading the story, but applying ourselves to it as well.
Okay, may the best God win, Pete. We'll see, buddy.
Hang on, bud. What are you talking about, God? What are you talking about Aristarchus being God?
No, I'm saying
please.
Your God
Hang on, please. Hang on, Paige. What are you talking about Aristarchus being my God?
I'm saying whatever spirit that you believe created is up against
Aristarchus is the tree of life, man. Is that my God? The tree of life would have had to be created, right, by a creator.
Right.
That's not my God, is it?
Sorry, that creator is what I'm saying, is competing against mine.
So it's like a ridicule, a typical church sort of attitude, that pompous, sort of standoffish attitude. Isn't that mind of God?
No, it's just reality. And if you win...
You don't know anything about the legal name fraud, the biggest fraud against mankind, and the biggest threat against our mortal soul, in a sense. Because if we go to the pearly gates and we think we're something we're not, well...
One second. The biggest fraud that has been taken away, the biggest fraud that has been enacted in the world is we've not been allowed to ask questions about who we are, Pete. That's the biggest.
That's where the legal fraud comes into it.
Wait, 1 second. That's a derivative of what I just said. So all of us as flat earthers and people, we're asking ourselves fundamental questions, and we don't have all the answers. So when you come with a condescending tone, people are not going to react to that well, man. Just a reality.
I tell you what, the police that pulled me over the other day weren't happy with me telling them that telling them that they were doing something unlawful and that they should read their constitution. They weren't very happy about that at all.
Yeah, we challenge
about
everything.
The legal name fraud, but Chirac here, the mind of God doesn't know about the legal name fraud. And exactly, if you think you're a name, right? If you think you're a name and you're a corporation, right, which is what the legal name is, well, again, when it comes to the point of crux, right, you're going to maybe find yourself lacking. But the one thing the Bible literalists across the board in Flat Earth have been extremely quiet about is exactly this. The biggest danger to our mortal soul, God has no respect for persons. That's telling you need to know and understand who you are. Yeah. So the legal name, you don't know anything about that? Why am I not surprised? Sure.
Well, I know the Bible people are agents because they don't admit that they could be wrong. That's when we know a person is an agent, when they just are so dogmatic about one particular narrative. And I don't understand why you're lumping me in that. I say every day to myself, I could be wrong, because God's existence is overwhelming for me, because I've been effectively an atheist my whole life, going through this corporate slave system. So I don't understand why you're lumping me with Paula. Like, I don't know, what have I said to put me with her?
Right. So, so coming to Flat Earth and realizing the whole core of lies that we grew up and surround ourselves or have been surrounded with, have you considered historical revisionism? Have you considered that the Bible is not a 2,000-year-old book then?
Never even heard that postulated.
See, bollocks. See, that's why I don't want to be talking to you, because you're fucking ill-informed. And when it comes to such, we're at the very final stages here. You're just wasting people's time. That's what I feel you're doing. And I feel the same for you, Paige. You're just wasting people's time.
What did I say that was not intelligent? What did I say that
where's your research? Where's your critical mind? Where's your you actually named yourself the mind of God. Where is that drive and passion to come to know the truth?
Well, Pete, tell me the truth then, man. Go for it.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You're a fake, man. You're a fake. You're just the next line of fakes. You're just the next level of fakes. As if I don't know. As if I haven't been in this arena long enough.
How do I prepare for Christ's aura? How do I prepare? What do you want us to do as a people?
You find that aura within. You won't find it without you, man. You won't find it without you. You find it within you.
I'm looking outside.
You find it within you.
I'm looking at all these forces.
Or will you put a man, a
us.
33-year-old man who lived 2,000 years ago in the desert up on a pedestal and make him an idol, something you were told not to do? Will you do that? Give him a literal existence and believe that he pulled 4,000 fish out of his arse?
I wouldn't word it that way.
No, you wouldn't. But you'll believe it, right?
No,
you'll believe it. But the thing is here with someone of great mind like yours, Chirag, you won't think about the symbolic significance to these things. That the greater, deeper level of truth applies to us all. You won't think about that, right? When you mock Aristarchus, when I say Aristarchus is the divided tree of life, that's the way it's fucking written. Aristarchus of Samos is given to us as the originator of the heliocentric model, the base for a material-only existence. This is what we left behind, right? Because we're not just material.
If I mock Aristarchus and he ends up being real and he torments me, I deserve that. If you mock,
he's not a thing. Aristarchus, the man, didn't exist, man.
Let me just finish
it's a pointer. It's a pointer towards something else. You know the way Eratosthenes is said to have seen the Earth for the first time via his shadows and sticks experiment. Well, the joke is in the name. Eratosthenes is an anagram of sees not Earth, right? Perfect anagram. Okay. So looking at that sort of thing, Aristarchus, perfect anagram of Christ's aura. What is the sun? Why is Jesus equated with the sun? Well, these are deeper questions that you should have long since considered, right?
Why does Jesus? Think about those things. Well, I do.
You don't think about those things, right? Why did Apollo 8 take off? Hang on, please. Why did Apollo 8 take off on the 21st of December, 1968? Do you remember the 21st of December, 2012, Mind of God? Did you do anything about that? Did you think anything about it?
The 21st of December is very important.
To you, was 21st of December 2012 very important to you, Paige? Because it was to me.
Okay.
Every solstice is important, but yeah, that year was particularly.
Yeah, but I'm saying personally, did it have a big impact on you or anyone out there personally? Did it have a big impact on you?
No.
It did on me.
Hell no.
No. No.
It's probably another day that it's probably another day that I was enslaved here, away from the entity that created me. So yeah, this
is what I'm saying. This is like a playground in one sense. You don't have to fucking talk to every fucker in the playground and get on with them. If we don't get on, that's fine, right? This is a time and a place in one sense. But Ranty has allowed ball earthers who come on and lie to your fucking face hours on end to speak. Right? So when I come along, it's usually against antagonists. And if it's not of one form, it's of the other form. I don't want to talk about any of this, right? Hang on, please. Can I just say, is the whole country shutting down now? The whole country is shutting down here now.
Let Ranty have the mic. It's a show.
You just said I believe that I brought on Globers on there to spread the lies. Well, how do you know that they?
No, I didn't say that.
What did you say?
I said they've had oceans of time. They've had oceans of time to spread their lies.
Okay,
which is all they do. We know they're liars.
So why did you bring?
I'm just saying.
Why did you bring up my channel?
I was criticised for never expanding upon anything, Ranty.
Isn't that expanding? Well, most of the flat Earth channels don't allow a globe earther to come on. Am I expanding by allowing a globe earther to come on and interact in that way? Is that expanding?
No, hang on. We're getting the point wrong. I was talking about what Paige said, and I'm not allowed, in general, to expand upon ideas which take time to express, right? I wasn't talking about that. Are you saying, well, if you're asking me that question directly, I'll answer it? Absolutely not. There's absolutely no point anymore dealing with any ballers at this stage, unless it's for the purpose.
That's insane.
Unless it's for the purpose. Unless it's for the purpose of newcomers coming in.
Hang on. And do you know why that's insane? And I'll say for now. I didn't understand refraction, and I didn't want to get into refraction. I didn't want to talk about refraction. I then listened to the Globers, and I formulated a bunch of scenarios and ideas that I put to the Globers, and I got them to come on and talk about it and show me different experiments. And then I went on Gerrans and I applied it on a flat plane. And do you know what? Since then, it's taken off. Do you know something? It's taken off. And that only came about because the Globers came on and were able to tell us how light acts in their model, right? Through the gradients. And I was able to apply that on a flat plane. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with that. But do you know what? It opened a whole bunch of shit to the Globers because it destroyed their argument. Now, if I hadn't have brought them onto the debate to talk to me about this, that would never have happened, right? And you can't deny that hasn't happened. because it has. There's people talking about it right now. In fact, it's one of the hottest topics right now. Refraction over a flat plane, and it all started like fucking 3 months ago when I fucking started talking about this and got these globers on. So you can't say that what I do doesn't advance this argument.
And if
No,
we want to encourage
that wasn't what I was
free
answering.
speech, we
I
need
wasn't
to
saying
let
that.
everybody have free speech. We can't, it's like Paula banned me because I told her the sun, S-U-N, walks on water. She banned me, like blocked me from talking to her. But she wants to be allowed to say anything she wants to say about what she believes the Bible is. But the minute you disagree with her, she wants to shut you up. So
She's
That's what I'm
lost.
saying. There's snakes in the grass. There's snakes in the grass. Let me just say to Shane here.
I don't agree with stopping people from talking because you don't agree with them. That's all.
It's too late in the game, Paige. What if this was all set up to be this way and it was like a big distraction, and then before you know it, well, Armageddon, to put it in a light sense, is up on top of us. The whole country is shutting down. The whole world is shutting down. What that leaves us, I'll tell you this much for nothing, right? What goes along with all of these sort of not hoax events, these occasions, right, is, well, the petrol prices always come down beforehand, but the communications are always shut off as well. What would we all actually do? Think about this as individuals out there. What would we all do if we were shut down from having this facility, the ability to communicate across countries, across the world? Right? We'd all go back to our own thinking. And where would you be with that? I'll ask that as a question to any individual out there. And I think we have the ability. You talked about the they earlier on. I think this is the biggest question. Who is they? How do we define who they is? And is there a greater hand here in our reality? These are the deeper questions I say are pertinent. And this is why the likes of Bible literalist, John Quantum Eraser, another Bible literalist, Nathan Oakley surrounds himself with Bible literalists. This is why they are so prominent within this arena, because you're constantly being torn and pulled between two alternatives, two dichotomies. You decide the truth yourself as the individual. I say the Creator has given you the ability, and if you learn to read the story right and put your heart in the right place, it will make sense to you. That's all I can say.
See, I'm of the opinion that because everything is so contrived, some people are better off to close the book completely. Don't even think about what story could be right. Just live your life and be happy. Don't even, because you...
Yeah. They're the people like my auntie or someone like that, though, who are decent people, and they'll make it through just on, decency and love alone, right? But they're not reading the story. If we are reading the story, can we grasp? Otherwise, what's the point in reading the story?
Exactly. That's what I mean. If we're unable to know what exactly is the truth, then what is the point of even reading the story?
We should never have come to flat Earth then, Paige, because it's not the end.
We know that. That's why we're here brainstorming.
No, it's definitely not the end. But for me, it has enabled me to cut the cord from the rest of the world even more. Once I found it, the last 5 years of my life, I have slowly been able to extract myself from the world around me completely. And I'm so much happier. I don't let their stories worry me. I don't think about their stories because I know their stories. If there is a creator, if we were created, which I do believe we were, then when I die, he will look at my life and go, yeah, she was, a loving human being. You know what I mean?
Well, all I'll say to that is, and that's fair enough, well, then you shouldn't read the story at all. Because once you do get involved in a little bit of the story, you dip your head in here or there, and you start commenting, you could be totally out of context then and not have the right baseline foundation for what you say.
Hey guys, I'm just going to make a bit of a plea here to the people who are watching. So if you know Roxanne Glenn, so you'll know her as Roxanne the Globalist denier, she's been finding it really difficult to actually find any food supplies where she lives. So if you find it in your hearts that you can actually afford to help her out, I'm going to post the PayPal link if you want to support her. Don't give me a super chat. Just give her a super chat if you can. Sorry, not super chat, a PayPal donation if you can. We've got maybe a week left before the shit really hits the fan, and she's got kids and all, and she's really struggling, and she was crying to me before, and I felt really, really for her. I really did. But yeah, if you can help her, please, I'll give you the link. If you want to support, do, and if you don't. It's not a problem, Back to the show.
Or else look deeper into it and see a symbolic story being told, which is our story. It has to connect all of us. That's what the greater story has to be, because we are one and the same, right?
Pete, I got a question for you. That you did say you created your son, which obviously is very true and a beautiful thing whenever you speak about him. That energy that lives inside of him, who created that? Who's responsible for that?
Oh, sure, man. I'm not an atheist. There's a higher power here.
Exactly.
And all I can say about that is, even if you don't want to sort of admit it or personify it, we know the image that's associated with God, the very word God. Well, the least we can admit is like that greater power. It's a part of ourselves, even.
Fair
now,
enough.
it's very vague beyond a certain point, but that's what I'm talking about. Reading the story, putting everything here that we're going through right now in a different context. If we're not willing to do that, that's fair enough. But like Paige, I might as well be talking to my neighbor here as talking to you in that sense then, because he has no interest at all. And when I start talking about something...
Not that I don't have any interest. I'm interested in my story, my,
Right.
where I've come from, but I'm not going to allow their stories to dictate what I do during the day, how much time is taken up,
Well, I mean, you can think about anything at any stage. This is not about doing what you do.
Yeah, I sit down at the river on a day like today where it's blue sky and there's not a cloud in the sky. I'm sitting here looking at a beautiful spider web that a massive big spider created outside on my balcony. And he runs out and grabs his little flies and runs back into his hidey spot again. And I think, what a great life he's got. That's
you don't get it, but she's answering your question, but you're not really acknowledging.
No, but you should. Do you know what I think you should do then, Paige? If you're genuine, go offline. I've been thinking this to myself. What's the point in all of this? As Chirag has just said there, and Nathan Oakley's, it's just been the same. Hang on, Paige. Let me finish a sentence. Let me finish my sentence, please. Hang on, please. I'm talking. Okay, hang on. I've realized it's just the same thing over and over again. I was on Jose JG Gonzalez. It's the same fucking thing over and over again from all the contributors.
Yeah, I don't watch
rehashing over and over again. What's the point of being online here? If we don't know any truth regarding the greater coronavirus, are we going to get swept up? How will we inform ourselves properly? I think it's something serious that we're all going to have to start considering soon anyway, is a communications break and not being able to communicate online with other people. Will it be a help? Possibly. This fucking internet has created more trouble in people's lives, like I'm sure. Especially conspiracy people's lives, right?
Why are you so worried about how she's using her time?
This is the only show that I even participate in. And it's only because I enjoy Randy's company. I enjoy talking to him. We have very similar ways of thinking. I don't.
About what, for instance, Paige? About what?
Sorry?
What do you think in a very similar way to Randy about?
Well, we've had very similar experiences in our lives. We've gone through very similar things, the loss of our partners, that kind of stuff. The way he thinks with allowing people to have the freedom to speak, even if we don't agree what they're saying, that, you give them enough rope, they'll hang themselves. I agree with that. I find him enjoyable to talk to. And
but any more developed sort of areas of his thinking that you agree with?
Pete, why are you asking this, man?
Because she made the statement. I'm just asking.
That's kind of personal. It's things that Randy and I talk about when we're not live, No,
I'm not talking about personal stuff. I'm talking about general areas of inquiry, like we're all going through now. Doesn't matter. Forget about it. You're the one who said it, by the way, and you said this is the only place you come to. That's fine. That's fine. I don't question
You're
anyone's
too
motive.
paranoid,
Right?
bro. Just relax, man. We're just
I'm
human.
too paranoid. I'm too paranoid. The whole fucking country is shutting down here.
Well, it looks like maybe, but we only found out about this recently, man. It kind of popped up
No,
on us.
no, you didn't, man. I've been expecting this for years. I thought it was actually. Hang on, please. I thought it was actually going to be last year because of the 19. I knew 19 was the eighth. I knew 19 was the eighth prime number, and I also 911 911 was about 2 becoming 1.
Did
so
you prepare,
911
Pete?
is 11-9. Hang on, please. 911 is 11-9 or 1-9 if 2 become 1.
Did
I knew
you
19.
Did you prepare, Pete?
I knew 19.
Did you
What?
prepare? Have you got supplies in? Did you prepare? Are you a prepper?
No, I'm not bothered about that. I'm glad this is happening because I know it's coming down. I'm not bothered about that, Ranty. I'm genuinely not.
So,
I think
it's not
a hope.
So how are you going to feed yourself?
I'll worry about that. Sometimes the sort of need brings out the best in all of us. I don't think it's going to go down in the way that you think it is, right?
Okay,
I don't think
so
it is.
tell us, how is it going to happen?
In the making from the beginning, right?
Tell us, how is this gonna play out? Tell us, how are you gonna I mean, how much food have you got in? How many days have you got, would you say?
That's not. It's fine. There's no stocking up done here.
No. I'm just asking in
right.
genuine.
If everything stopped right now, we'd be okay till the end of the week, I guess.
Okay.
That, probably.
Okay. Let's say 2 weeks. Let's say 2 weeks. If you eat everything out. So what happens when it goes to 3 weeks? I mean, if you can't. I mean, what happens then? I mean.
Well, when it goes to 3 weeks, I'll understand that it's the same. I'll be in the same boat as all my neighbours here and all the people of Limerick here, Ranty, and other emergent reactions and actions will take place then. I'll deal with that. In one sense, as I mentioned it before, I think it'd be good for everyone to start fasting, right? And just understanding that we don't have this urgent need for food. It's more a sort of psychological thing. But
people should be sun gazing.
No, food's not psychological. I'm sorry, I have to correct
you. I'm not saying
that.
The urgent need. I said no. I didn't say the food was psychological. The urgent need for it, mind of God.
I only eat 1 meal a day. I don't.
Right.
My body doesn't feel the need to eat.
Yeah. Right. And Paige, is another aspect to all of this as well. Our bodies are changing. Have you not experienced that yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I've experienced that.
Right. So I think that, again, this is part of what I think is the greater story. Corona itself is a very positive word. Corona relates to the sun, right? But Corona also translates as crown. Now, who are we is the bigger question. Once we come to flat Earth, we realize where we're not. So at least we have some grounding to continue the search, and that search goes inwards. So
we're not something extremely important. We seem to be in a state of amnesia almost.
Yeah. Like division. Imagine we consented to enter here, Paige, in a divided state, male from female, self from self, and maybe the ultimate goal was.
Let's talk about food. Let's talk about food.
I'm not going down that way, Shane. I'm just saying that, right? That's my position.
Okay.
My other half is gone, right? So we're male from female, self from self, and maybe that's the ultimate point of this life is to put the pieces together.
Okay, so
see, for me, that brings me to a really bad position in my thoughts because my partner died, and I don't want to think about needing to find my other half because I think I already did.
Paige, he actually meant in a.
I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, he meant in a spiritual way. Yeah.
Yeah, so
no, hang on. Yeah, I don't mean that half partner, Paige. That's not what I mean.
Flat Earth Island says, please tell Pete I have 3 weeks supply and if he is stuck, I'm around. Steamboat Quay in Limerick. That's from
lovely. That's John. I know John, and I've met John in Limerick here. And I think that's the sort of thing that will happen, John. That everyone will start to come together. But I don't have this fear tactics. I've been looking for this to happen because I know that the script is written. Script you are, right? So I think this is what's happening, and how you deal with it personally is going to decide a lot of things. And of course, we know that the people who haven't looked into any of this now are being swept away by the fear. So that might be the biggest cause for sort of a battlement amongst your family and friends, is because you have a different point of view. I've sort of learned myself now that I keep it kind of quiet, that my own thoughts are that this is generally a hoax, but it is being used to usher in something different. And I will just say this as well. Who's to say that the coronavirus with it won't bring enlightenment? If everything is inverted and reversed, It's a possibility.
So let me ask you another question.
That would be lovely.
If 8 weeks ago, when I first started, right, so regardless of, if you knew something was going to happen 8 weeks down the line, would you prepare for it, or would you just sit tight and just do your normal thing, or would you actually prepare?
I don't see there's much you can do, to be honest with you. I don't see there's much you can do.
It's easier for Pete. He's on his own. You only have yourself to look after, don't you, Pete?
Yeah, I think my question is more based along the lines of that 8 weeks ago I was telling people to prepare for this, and you're telling me right now, that you still haven't prepared for this. It's like, okay, and you're going to expect that you're going to get food just miraculously appear on your table in a week or two's time. It's like, that isn't just...
I appreciate your position. And in general, it's good. It's good just to have stocks there, right, just in case anything could happen.
Yeah,
but that's your position. That's not my position, man. That's not my position, Shane. And have you considered that what's happening now is being rolled out? It involves the cooperation of all the governments earthwide. And there is a fixed plan put in place, as Roxanne sort of hinted at. There's a fixed plan put in place for a sort of a transformation of not just society, but I guess reality in general, right?
So what's your plan, Pete? What's your plan?
I have no fucking plan, man. When I wake up in the morning, I don't know what my plan is. But I'm not bothered about going down the road that you're going down. If shit kicks off here or whatever, actually they put a 5G right outside the door here, the back door. The 5G guys have been as busy as fucking anything. So they've obviously coincided the two to roll out. And we know all the scare tactics associated with that. But right outside the door here, there's two black boxes put up on the telephone.
So where did this... so where did this 5G 60 gig, nonsense come out with? Where did that originate from?
Yeah, it's probably all more scare tactics. I think it's all. Listen, this is my bottom line here.
Let me just tell you, it was a comment, much like you would leave on my videos or somebody else. It was just a comment that somebody else ran with, and then because they ran with it, somebody else picked it up, and then they ran with that, and then before you know it, okay, it's now law. It was just somebody's comment. That's all it was.
What's the truth of it then? What's the truth of the situation then, Ranty? You'd have to be willing to say. What's your point of view?
Well, all I'm saying is that if you can't trace the source, if you trace the source back to an unverified source, then it can't be verifiable, can it?
Let me tell you my bottom line in all of this. We live in an electrified environment, right? Now, if you go out with your iPhone, what do you mean, here we go? See, this is... Honestly, anyway, if you go to your iPhone now, Ranty, and you download the latest high definition movie you just played on YouTube, you're getting that signal from somewhere, right? So these information is traveling through a medium. This is what chemtrails is all about. This is what flat Earth is ultimately about, right? We live in an electrified environment. For whatever reason, I say we live in a broken system. I say the Earth is in this destroyed, divided state, and this is all about the repair of Earth, REPAIR. And I ultimately think that the barrier is being reinflated. And I think this is all set to coincide in and around right now. That's my honest point of view.
Okay, so
I have to agree with Pete about
one sec, Paige.
Planning.
Can I just stop you there for once? I will bring you in. I promise you, Paige. Let me just get this.
Yeah, you're right, Auntie.
Right, so we have 120 people watching now. So I'm going to appeal to the 120 people watching right now. Please, if you get the opportunity to go down and drive around, let's say a 5 mile radius of where you live. Pick up all the supplies you're going to need to live for the next couple of months, 3 months, or whatever. If you can afford it, that is. If you can't, if you can get a credit card, put it on your credit card. Because ultimately that's all just going to end up going to shit anyway. But get the food in. That's what you need to do. This is my advice. You don't have to do that. This is my plea to the 120 people that are watching. If you get the opportunity to do that, go ahead, get your rice in, get your pasta in, get your sauces in, get your meats in, put them in the freezer, break them up. If you get a pack of 20 bacon, split them up into little packets of 4. Put them in the freezer, and then you just pull them out. You're sort of like creating your own supply, individual supply that's as you need it. You can do this. You can pull through. That's my advice. That's all I'm going to say. And now I'm going to go back to now I'm going to go back to the now I'm going to go back to Paige, who's waiting to get in there. So I just needed to get that in.
My youngest, he's 13. He's a bit of a worrywart, and he stresses about things. So I made sure we were prepared in the food sense so that he wouldn't stress. But I'm sort of the same thoughts as Pete, that I don't have a plan. I don't wake up each morning thinking of a plan. And I tell him, at the end of the day, you can't change what happens, whatever they're going to do, however much they shut the world down, that kind of thing. As an individual, you can't stop that from happening. All you can do is control your reaction to it. So, to stop yourself from being too fearful, just, if you have to not think about it, then don't think about it. As long as you can feed yourself, you won't have anything to worry about. The fear will come when you can't feed yourself anymore, or you've got kids and you can't feed them. That's when you will get fearful. And if these elites do have a spiritual thing behind them, if everything's based on frequency and vibration and stuff, then how do we know that their food supply isn't fear from us? How do we know they don't harvest what we're feeling? They tell us our emotions are just in our heads, but we have, what if they come out from your body and they can be absorbed by other things? So you got to keep your heart light, like in Egypt, where they have the heart weighed with a feather. They weigh your heart against a feather when you die. So you got to keep your heart light. Don't let things bog you down and make you, dense and dark and low. You know what I mean?
Paige, can I read something funny? Sorry, really quick. I'm on my YouTube.
Course.
I'm on my YouTube, like just the comments page, and then at the top, it's YouTube saying important. Due to COVID-19, we will conduct fewer human reviews to protect the health of our extended workforce. Unfortunately, this is the funny part. Unfortunately, as a result, we may remove content that does not violate our community guidelines. I don't know if that's a spelling mistake, but YouTube is just out of their mind. They might use it as a way.
I think the farce is all unfolding, and even when you look at, I don't look at this stuff anymore, but you look at Donald Trump and some of the contradictions, the blatant contradictions, and had just the look of him. I think the farce is being revealed to us, and I agree with Paige there. If you haven't heard that, when you're to meet your maker, if your heart isn't as light as a feather, you will not pass the pearly gates, or something similar. And I agree, it's carrying resentment, carrying this strong, dark energy with you, and you have to let everything go. And that means forgiving everybody, but first and foremost, forgiving yourself, or at least dealing with what you have. Or I even said this in my own hands. If it's a worse crime, imagine people now just saying, imagine people who, I don't know, they're coming close to death and they've killed someone and they thought they got away with it all their life, but now they're approaching death and their mortality is at stake. Imagine that heavy heart that they're meeting their maker with. That certainly won't be lighter than a feather. But I think all things are capable of being forgiven, but we must sort of approach it in the right way. So I agree with you, but I'm not going against people stocking up on food. My own life is different. That's all. I would say in general it's a good thing, but in relation to what's going down, you can look at it a few ways. I take a more lighthearted look at it, really, because I've always been expecting the end to reveal itself, right, or to be played out because of the route I was led down. When we talk about media hoaxes like Boston bombings or the Pulse nightclub or all of these different things, I'm sure we'd agree on lots of those. When it goes back to earlier times like 9/11 or Boston or Waco, Texas, or beyond that, you know what I mean, the Titanic, all the way back, World War II, Pearl Harbor, these are different matters. But nonetheless, they're still hoaxes, but they tie into the great story. Remember 9/11? 9/11, PNAC called for a new Pearl Harbor. So if the old Pearl Harbor was a symbolic hoax involving 3,000 fake deaths, well, then the new one is going to be as well, you know. So that's all I'm saying. If we spend time in looking at these hoaxes or investigating the conspiracy angles to them, I think myself, and I genuinely believe this, it's an absolute waste of time that you looked into it if you don't see beyond the literal and look to the greater symbolism. I would just mention one thing: the moon landings, for instance, right? So we had the rocket taken off. For the rocket is the penis taken off for the moon, the mother goddess, with the 3 astronauts, the 3 little spermies, for impregnation, because, well, there was an ultimate separation or divide. This is what life is about. If material only existence, where does that lead you? Well, that leads you into the Bowler camp, right? The material only atheistic worldview. And that's for contrast. Now we understand that that's not the case. Well, is there an onus on us as individuals to find out what is the case for our reality? Did the Creator imbue us with the ability to work it out? I say absolutely. That's what I think.
Maybe
Not fully,
maybe the
man. Not
Creator,
fully.
maybe we like maybe we annoyed the Creator so much, saying, you know, well, we can live a physical life, you know, we'll be able to do it. So he's gone, well, okay, I'll let you do it then.
Yeah, off you go. The fallen angels, right? The fallen angels, Paige. What? There's no. That's a good question, actually. There's no female angels, right? Isn't that funny?
No, there's not. Yeah, they're all male.
I'll tell you, there's no male angels either.
Well, no, they're all portrayed as male names, like, yeah.
Right, guys.
And most of them are ending in EL as well. So this is all storytelling attached. Yeah, attached. So 8 plus 2012, 2020, friends. 2020.
Yes. And 22 is a master builder number, one of their, you know, most important numbers. 22.
I know you appreciate that S or 3 and 3 is 8, Page, or S and
yes.
S and inverted S is also an 8. So
yes. This is why
88.
People like Russian vids that put 33. You know, oh, this has got a 33 in it, so it's got to be a hoax. And it's like, I just keep thinking, hang on, you don't even know what the 33 is.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm sure he does, but he likes to take the sort of literal on it. Like Brian Stabley, another man who talks about flat Earth. I was hated when I came into flat Earth by flat earthers for talking about the 9/11 media and victim hoax.
Right, guys. I am not sure what happened there, but apparently Skype and everything seems to fail then. So I'm going to round up anyway. We are talking 1:30 in the morning. I've been going for 3 hours, so I will be back again tomorrow for another show. And in the meantime, take care, look after each other, and stock up if you get the opportunity. Trust me, get some food in and prepare. And I'll see you all tomorrow.